floor from the dais. Public comments, questions, motion on the floor. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was published?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Coleman, second from Commissioner Clark. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passes unanimously. That's going to move us to public hearings. Item 3, adoption of FY 2025 CRA budget. Mr. Attorney, would you please read a resolution 2024-02 into the record for us?
Yes, certainly will, Mr. Mayor. This is resolution number CRA 2024-02, a resolution of the Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA, for the city of Newberry, Florida, relating to its budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, repealing all resolutions in conflict, providing severability, approving a final fiscal year 2024-2025 CRA budget, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion would be to pass resolution CRA 2024-02 as read by title only.
Thank you, sir. Please
sir.
let the record show that Commissioner Maison is joining us before the presentation, so he is more than eligible to vote on any upcoming motions. Dallas, take it away.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, board members. The proposed CRA budget was presented to the CRA board at our last budget workshop on September 3rd. At that workshop, the board did give consensus to move forward with the proposed budget. As a reminder, here are your CRA borders. All of your expenditures in the CRA must occur inside of that purple line in essentially what is our downtown area. Your budget for 2025 in the CRA is $1.1 million, with about $1 million going into capital improvement and infrastructure. And I believe it got cut off, but 90% of the funds in your CRA are going into CRA projects in one way or another within your CRA. We do have a budgeted deficit between the revenue being brought in from both the county and the city and our proposed projects. That deficit is being funded with fund balance. There's a lot of projects that were budgeted in the current year that we're rolling forward into next year, particularly 2 of our road improvement projects. Mr. Chair, that concludes my budget presentation.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions from the dais?
I just missed that. I almost missed that.
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Clark.
It's awesome to see that this budget, this CRA, once it's developed, took off like it did. And there's a lot of money out there. Evidently, either we as a city or the people, but the facade grant I see is upped. Has anybody taken any advantage of any of this money to help the downtown area?
Mr. Chair, we had a meeting about a month ago as part of our downtown strategy program. We met with a number of businesses in the downtown area. And the feedback we got from those businesses is that at the threshold the facade grant is at now, which is $5,000, it's not worth it. They said that the $5,000 wasn't worth the paperwork and the effort to go get the grant, nor did it actually move any project significantly forward. So we took that feedback and we increased the amount that we're providing in facade grants, which is the increase you see. So our goal is to get more people to use it. We're also hiring a CRA manager in this year's budget, which will be a person who's dedicated to helping businesses through those processes to actually get some of this grant money out to our business community.
Other questions?
No.
I think that getting the director is the main thing. Having somebody, even if we need the paperwork for auditing reasons, having somebody that can help the businesses fill out the paperwork and explain, sit down with them. I heard the same thing, 5,000, these days it just didn't go far enough, Right. So it needs to be a little bit more incentivized, right? But I think the director will help us really get this thing off the ground and running. So any other questions? Do I have a motion? I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Coleman, a second from Commissioner Maison. Comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor. This is the CRA meeting, CRA budget. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously, 4-0 with Commissioner Farnsworth absent. That will move us to comments for the CRA. Executive Director of the CRA. Who is our Executive Director of CRA now? Is it our City Manager?
Yeah, I'm default until a CRA manager gets hired. But just wanted to mention to the commission, Commissioner Clark said it, or Board Member Clark mentioned that we've done well financially. That is strategic. Dallas is correct. We have had a hard time putting tons of effort into the projects just because we have so many projects going on. It's kind of heavy lifting to get these going, but the hiring of an executive director is really going to help us. But one of the things we focused on is taking the low-hanging fruit, is finding the property that would get the most bang for the buck, and that was the housing that occurred in Oak Park. But also, there are two other large tracts of land that are vacant. One is Post Farms, and you've approved 160 homes there. We'll get similar type of results from that when it builds out. Now, the city's done its part. Now we hope the developer will move forward with his part, and we'll see similar revenues from that. And also, the firm A&J is working on the commercial development on the Wynn property. We'll see probably even more significant results from that. It's the same size and land mass, but we think that the value of the development will exceed what's in Oak Park. So I think if we can get those two projects to develop completely in the next 5 years, that we will see a lot of revenue coming in that will allow the community, the commission to do lots of projects within our CRA.
All right.
That concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. CRA Attorney? Thank you, sir. Madam CRA Clerk? All right, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner? I have no comments as well. Citizen comments on about the CRA budget? Seeing none, we are adjourned, and we've got 5 minutes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and call this regularly scheduled September 23rd Commission meeting to order. I do have one change to the published agenda. That's adding a new item after 22. It'll be item 23. It's a local state of emergency resolution. We'll have that. It'll be new item 23 after item 22. With that, do I have an approval of the motion as it was published? I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Mazon. Comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. I'd like to invite Pastor Ralph Williams from Newberry Church of Nazarene up to give tonight's invocation. If you would please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, that will follow directly. Pastor, thank you.
May we pray. Father, we thank you tonight for the joy that's ours of being your stewards on this planet, in this state, and in this town. We pray tonight that you would help us to be faithful in the execution of that. We pray that you'd give us clarity, vision, courage. I pray, Father, that we would have, above all, peace. We thank you in the blessed name of Jesus. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, that'll bring us to our first presentation tonight. It's the National Kissing Bug Alliance, a nonprofit community health fair. There you are. Very excited. Come on down, Ms. Janice, and tell us all about the work that you are engaged in Newberry's first ever community-wide health fair. Tell us about it.
Okay, I'm Janice Smith, and I'm the founder and director of the National Kissing Bug Alliance. I want to recognize the commissioners. Thank you for welcoming me, and the mayor, the attorney, city manager. We do have the first Newberry Community Health Fair coming October 5th. It'll be at the municipal building, and it's grown to be quite large. Started out, I thought we might have about 8 or 10 providers, and we have 23 as of today. So you can go ahead.
You've got a little clicker right on there.
What?
Mike's coming to the rescue.
Yes.
It takes a PhD to learn how to work it, though.
All
It's
right.
very complicated. Very complicated.
This advances.
There you go.
The big one.
Look at that.
Go.
You're super smart. You figured it out
Oh,
right away.
this one?
That's the one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it will be from 10 to 2, I'm sorry. And it's for this community of Newberry. It's specific for our community. And the purpose is to bring the citizens of Newberry together in awareness of the many and diverse health and wellness benefits available to them. We have many new families moving into new construction, and we have rural families and populations of farmers and ranchers. We want everyone to feel welcome and valued. This is our flyer. However, this one, we've added some more providers since this one was printed, and we've already distributed them to the businesses along Main Street that are going to be participating, and to some of the other ones. And I've got some out in the hall, and if anybody wants to take any with them to drop off, that would be great too. We print all of our materials in English and Spanish because we want to reach both populations, and that seems to be the best way to do it. The event is free for the sponsors as well as participants. The National Kissing Bug Alliance is a nonprofit organization, and we're hosting the event joined by Life South Blood Donor Center of Gainesville, and they'll be conducting a blood drive at the same time. This all started in 2020. I was kissed by a kissing bug. I was diagnosed with Chagas disease as a result of giving blood. Very little is known about this disease and or how to treat it in the U.S. And for the longest time, it was only prevalent in South America, Central America, and Mexico. But with climate change and more immigrants and other people coming to the U.S., plus so many people cruising and traveling, it has made its way to us. The disease starts with a bite or a kiss from the kissing bug. It feeds on the host and then poops on them. When the poop is scratched or rubbed into the person's eye or open wound, if the bug is carrying the parasite, the person becomes infected, and they can become deathly ill during the acute stage. Following the acute stage, the parasite can lay dormant for decades and in some cases never cause a problem. But in other cases, it can become active again in the person's later years and attack the heart or the digestive system. And that's what happened to me. I was bitten in 1967 when my family took a vacation trip to Mexico. I became deathly ill and I spent 3 weeks in the Children's Hospital in Nashville. They never diagnosed me because they weren't aware of this disease in the U.S. But by treating my symptoms, I didn't die, and I was released from the hospital and then continued to live a happy, normal life for the next 3 decades. I lived for 40 more years not knowing I still had this parasite in my system. Then in 2015, I entered the chronic stage. The parasite attacked my digestive system, specifically my esophagus. It took 1.5 years for me to find a doctor who knew what he was doing to treat me. And by this time, I was 68 years old, older than they normally treat for this disease. So I knew I was in for a challenge to find the doctor and to also acquire medication because the medication has to be approved by the CDC if you're going to be treated. So the little diagram shows the percentage of my esophagus that was compromised. 60% of the middle part of my esophagus has been compromised. And this is the name of the medication. If you want to pronounce it for us, go right ahead. Okay, so I had some choices. My choices were just go untreated and in a few years be on a feeding tube or receive treatment similar to chemo and live a productive life. I chose to live a productive life, so the next steps were to go through the preliminaries to determine if I was healthy. So I had to go through all of these: electrocardiogram, chest x-ray, echocardiogram, endoscopy, colonoscopy, swallowing test. That's where they determined how much of my esophagus was damaged. So I decided to go ahead and have treatment. I was approved through the CDC for this because of my doctor. He was very proactive in getting this approved for me. I managed well, and when it was over, my main concern was what can I do to prevent this from happening to anyone else. So we decided to start a nonprofit called the National Kissing Bug. It was established in 2022 by my husband Greg and myself, and the purpose of the organization is to bring awareness of Chagas disease, that's the name of the disease, and to advocate for testing and treatment of neglected tropical diseases. Well, I've already said that part. Through my search, I thought I was going to have to go to Boston. That was the only place I could find a doctor that would even talk to me, but through that doctor's collaboration with a new doctor that had just moved to UF Shands in 2019, he and the CDC were able to connect us, and his name is Dr. Norman Lawrence Beatty, and together we developed my treatment plan, and then he helped me to start this nonprofit. What is that?
It's an Amber Alert.
Okay. We also have been able to acquire some interns through the University of Florida. So the last 3 semesters, we've had 2 interns during each semester to work with us in helping to develop our advertising campaigns and get information out in these 2 languages. So this is a flyer that one of our interns created. And then this is part of our team, and some actual bugs that have been found in Alachua County. This bug is here. It's also in Levy County, Gilchrist, Dixie, surrounding counties. If you want to know where they are, I can tell you where some of them have been
Ms.
located.
Janice, could you tell, what's the scale of that bug in the upper middle? If I put a quarter up to it, is it smaller than a quarter, larger than a
well,
quarter? Do you know?
So they start off small and they get larger,
Right.
but probably not more than an inch or an inch and a half.
I'm just curious if I got to get a microscope
No.
to look at it, right?
No.
If I could see it on the ground.
So they come in different varieties, and this one that has the orange on it is most prevalent in our area.
Okay.
On our website, you can see the different varieties. And it looks a lot like a stink bug, but the head is longer and it's a cone shape and the eyes are black. But this doctor down here doing the research, that's Dr. Beatty. He is very active in, he's clinical, he does research, he teaches, and he is a hospital doctor at Shands. So he's very, very busy, but does a lot of volunteer work too, and this disease is very dear to his heart. We set up sometimes at health fairs in other cities. That's what we've done so far, and we're so happy that we can bring this to Newberry now. This is another poster that was created by some of our interns. And then we're going to watch this video real quick. Okay. I hope. Whoops.
Let me see, is it a click on?
Yes, please. While she's doing that, this video was created in April of this year. Chagas disease has World Chagas Day, which is in April of every year. And so this documentary was created by DNDI, which is Drugs for Neglected Disease Initiative. It's also a nonprofit that was created kind of as an arm of Doctors Without Borders, if you're familiar with them. And but they're specific for neglected diseases.
Can we do a quick YouTube search for
It's on YouTube.
the kissing bug doctors of Florida?
It's Kissing Bug Doctors of Florida.
I think Miss Janice would like the
Google
public
that
to see it if we could. If we have that ability, I don't.
Does anybody
while
have a
we're looking to
question?
see, I do. So it's kind of a three-step process: the bite, then the defecation, and then getting that into an open wound or an eye or something like that. The bite itself does not, Pat?
It doesn't really hurt, and the reason, generally the bug comes out at night, and the reason most people get bitten on their face is because when you're sleeping, you're generally covered, and so the bug, if he lands on you, he lands on your face.
We can hear
We
it.
are changing it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it on.
Many people are moving to Florida.
Do you want me to-
Living in regions that are close to nature,
That's Dr. Beatty talking.
and
Commissioner Maison had a quote. Yep.
There it is.
There it is. All right.
Many of our homes are close to that urban wildlife interface. As our environment changes, the parasite will adapt, the kissing bug will adapt. Chagas disease needs attention here in the United States. We really do not understand the breadth of how many people are infected. It is here. It's in many states. Right here on our doorstep. Perfect. They know me as a kissing bug doctor around here. Work here at the University of Florida in the College of Medicine. I'm an assistant professor. Chagas disease is a neglected tropical disease caused by the parasite Trypanosoma cruzi. the Chagas work here in Florida started 4 years ago, knowing two things. One, that we have Latin American immigrants living in the state with Chagas disease, as well as knowing that the insect is here. All right, Dr. Parker, so we've been able to isolate a patient here with Chagas disease. She is from Zacatecas, Mexico. I'm so sorry you're having this infection here in your arm. But I also want to talk to you about Chagas disease and these bugs, the chinchits. Say, and you recognize those. Okay. Did you know that these bugs could cause an infection?
No. Just until now, we know.
Okay. Well, one important thing about this type of infection is it can affect the heart. Chagas disease affects the cardiovascular system, so when your heart goes into fibrillation. If we're unable to get you out of that fibrillation event, you'll pass away.
Miss Marina. Chagas es una enfermedad endémica en Latinoamérica. Estábamos viendo casos que se habían contraído en nuestros países nativos y que habían emigrado los pacientes aquí y bueno, no se los había detectado de niños. Tenemos otros pacientes que son nuevos y porque se ha visto que el insecto también con el parásito se encontraba acá en la Florida.
Yeah, right in this area, you're close to nature. Folks like to just live right here, swamp, and close to these bugs, especially during the summer months. They're coming out and invading into their homes and biting them. This garden right here. Organic garden. Been able to isolate bugs in 22 counties in Florida. Nearly one-third of all the counties in Florida we have found a kissing bug in over the last 2 years. Certain wildlife are reservoirs for Trypanosoma cruzi. We started to trap animals here locally. We found upwards of 50% in Florida opossums in our studies had T. cruzi. As well as raccoons. We've just recently isolated the first canine Chagas disease acquired here in Florida. It's really important that we show that this parasite is being transmitted to hosts that are susceptible.
We got this. We're doing it.
We have found that upwards of 30% of our bugs here in Florida are infected with Trypanosoma cruzi. And these insects are found throughout the United States.
Me llamo Rodrigo Alcalá, nací en Barcelona, en el país Venezuela, y crecí allá por toda mi vida, hasta los 14 años, y después nos vinimos para Estados Unidos. Siempre tuve un interés, una inclinación a estudiar enfermedades tropicales que por muchos años han estado en mi vida, ya sea porque las contraje yo, o tengo familiares, amigos, vecinos, conocidos que han padecido de ella. Tengo un tío que era muy cercano a mí yo creciendo, su nombre es Jacinto, quien falleció de la enfermedad de Chagas. Para nosotros fue una gran sorpresa de que haya fallecido de una enfermedad cardíaca. Empezamos a hacer estas ferias que estamos haciendo y empezamos a hacer los exámenes de Chagas para las personas. Y eso para mí ha sido pues muy gratificante porque es como poder hacer un trabajo que hubiera salvado a mi tío.
7 more minutes? 2 more, okay. We're just running up against our time limit. I want to make sure we have. Can you pause it?
What others can do across the country.
I just want to make sure that the commission has time to ask questions, and we can share this link later.
Right.
I know you had some questions, Commissioner Maison.
Yeah.
First,
So,
go ahead.
I had 2 questions I wanted to ask you personally. So, where did you get bit?
On my face.
So it was on your face, not on your eye, because in the presentation you mentioned eye, so I didn't know if it was.
Because you get bit on your face, like it feeds from your saliva, then it poops on your face, and then when you're asleep, you rub it in your eye, then it gets in your system. And so my eye looked like the one on one of those
Flyers.
poster, that flyer that you have.
So 40 years later, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what were your symptoms? I know what they said as far as the
They
heart,
thought,
but
okay, I think well, no, I don't get into that in this, but they thought I had acid reflux because I was refluxing a lot, but they just kept increasing my medicine dosage, and it didn't get any better. So I did go to another ENT specialist at Shands, and he diagnosed me as reflux, but it was caused from a nerve. So the parasite had attacked the nerves in my esophagus, and it was causing me to reflux. Did that answer your question?
yeah, you sure did.
So
Okay.
they didn't diagnose it with Chagas when you were a kid.
I
They
got
diagnosed
diagnosed
it
with
later.
Chagas in 2020 when Greg and I went to donate blood to see if we had the antibodies for COVID-19. And so recently, I'm not sure of the year, but blood donation centers are supposed to test you for Chagas now if you have never, if it's your first time to donate. So if they ask you, is this your first time to donate, then they test you for more things than they normally would. But after that one time, they don't have to test you anymore. So, I said, no, it wasn't my first time, but we had traveled out of the country recently, and you put the countries that you travel in. And so I'm not really sure what the reasoning was, but they tested me, and I got a letter in the mail saying, you can't donate again, you have Chagas disease, and you need to contact your doctor.
okay, so after the first time of donating, right? So, like, say I go and donate blood tomorrow, will they test me for this? Because it's in Florida.
If it's your first time to donate,
Well, that sucks.
I know.
Because if I
But
get
see,
scratched, bit, infected, and
hopefully, we can bring
Raise
some
awareness.
of these rapid tests through grants and other fundings and include them in with screenings at health fairs.
Okay.
And that's one reason we want to include the whole population. We're not interested in just one population. We want everybody to be healthy. So if we can, if you're over 60 or over 65 and you die of a heart attack, oh, well, they had a heart attack. Well, how do they know you might have had Chagas disease? One of our interns this semester is from Venezuela, and her grandmother died of Chagas disease here in the United States after they moved here. She died of and the only reason they found out, because the girl's father is a doctor, and he insisted on having her tested. So that's how, and I know my time has probably run out.
If the commission has questions, that's my only
Okay.
latitude to give you more time.
Okay, on the flyers, there's a QR code. You can scan that, and it'll take you directly to our website, okay?
And before you leave, Ms. Janice, I just want you to say, I want to say, terrible that this happened to you, but I love the way that you took a bad thing to happen to you and you turned it into, a positive thing to help other folks. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing with your foundation, and thank you for letting your foundation be the seed that grew into a health fair that will be about all things, not just the kissing bug, but about a whole bunch of
Right.
other things. So you just continue to give to this community, and I appreciate everything that you've done through the years, and this is just the latest example of being a tremendous community advocate. So thank you so much.
Thanks, thank
Can't wait
you.
to-
Question too, Ms. Mayor.
One question over here.
Is there any documentation of human-to-human transmission?
Yes,
or-
that it can be transmitted through birth,
Okay,
and I do have a daughter and 2 grandchildren.
okay, and how about animal to human?
Yes, definitely. We tested, if you saw, the dog was from Micanopy, and we were able to pay to have that dog. We paid for a complete checkup at Micanopy Animal Hospital, and we had the labs sent to Texas A&M, where they have a big veterinary school, and one particular researcher that researches in Chagas disease in canines, and those tests came back positive. But there's no, they don't treat canines right at this moment. They're working on a virus, but hasn't come out yet.
And you'll leave some flyers, and there's your email, and I'm sure that you would love volunteers, folks, to help you with your endeavor. So if anyone wants to reach out, I'll go ahead and volunteer that on your behalf.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Excellent. All right, item 2 is a proclamation for National Community Planning Month. I always look forward to this every single year. I'll read the proclamation in, and then Ms. Stacy, unless you prefer to give us a little presentation, then I'll read the proclamation.
You read the proclamation
I'll
first.
read the proclamation in. Always enjoy this one because I think Newberry does a great job with planning, and I wish that more people paid attention to all of those workshops and all of those community visioning that we do because it affects all of us, and we work really, really hard all year long on community planning. So I offer the following proclamation in the record: whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places. And whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live. Whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the full benefits of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, and whereas the American Planning Association endorses National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight how planning is essential to recovery and how planners are uniquely positioned to identify solutions to communities' most difficult housing, transportation, and land use questions. And whereas the City of Newberry will celebrate the National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of planning commissions, planners, and citizens who have contributed their time and expertise to the development of Newberry. And now, therefore, I, Jordan Marlowe, Mayor of the City of Newberry, do hereby declare the month of October 2024 as the Community Planning Month in the City of Newberry, Florida, in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 23rd day of September 2024. Ms. Stacy, tell us a little bit about all of the work that our planning department, our planning zoning board does, and why we should highlight this month.
I sure will, and excuse my voice, I'm sort of losing it a little bit, but...
You were cheering those Gators on this weekend. We got to enjoy these celebrations when they come.
It worked just a little. No, I want to thank you for letting us take just a moment to not only expand on what we do, but brag a little bit on our department. I figured I would go ahead and take this time also to go through some of the things that our department has done as a whole. And so here I'll show you here. So this is the piece that they're promoting this year. And it's interesting that the things that they're promoting, the housing, the transportation, and the land use, are the 3 things that we're having majorly rewritten for our comprehensive plan that we'll be sharing with you on October 1st. So that kind of all ties together very nicely. So the Community Development Department, formerly known as Planning and Economic Development Annual Report. This includes the planning, the CRA, Planning Department, CRA, Economic Development, Building, and Code Enforcement. The following report incorporates the 2023-2024 annual report under Brian Thomas and the staff of Jean-Paul Perez, Principal Planner, and Uma Sarmitsa, best I can do, Senior Planner. Because this is Community Planning Month, I will concentrate solely on planning, zoning, CRA, and economic development, and actions taken by that part of the department. We are going to be seeing some code enforcement and building coming up in June when it's their month to do some things so we can brag on those parts of the department as well. So in October 2023 to October 24 timeframe, the department accomplished many important functions assisting citizens and developers to reach their goals for development and improvements in the city. I have listed them in the tables and the slides below. So we took our main actions and we kind of summarized them in this little table. And so over the last year, we have annexed approximately 235 acres, and that would include 5 annexations, annexation number 37 and 38. We have done approximately 10 land use changes that change our land use map, and we've done about 11 rezonings that you all have seen over the last year. We've done 1 temporary use permit, the Vibes on the Lawn event, and we have done approximately 9 preliminary and final subdivisions, and we've reviewed 8 sets of plans for construction, moving forward for construction. Some of those plats that I listed up there are just familiar ones that you may be, Barrington Reed Plat, Magnolia Acres, Avalon Woods Phase A, Phase 4A and B, so on. We've done about 5 site and development plan reviews. That's City Hall, the ultimate boat and RV storage, the treatment facility expansion, and you'll be seeing for the final tonight, the O2B and Whittles. And the variances, we did 1 variance, and we've done 2 alley vacates. In the CRA, they did worked on 2 major items this year, the downtown mural project and the farmers market. And in economic development, it was mainly the downtown strategies. And then we also compiled both of those with some actions from the city manager and commission projects, such as we've worked on the City Hall. They worked on the City Hall land use change, rezoning and site and development plan, the downtown strategies initiative in collaboration with Newberry Main Street, downtown mural and mural grant and obtaining the county's small matching grant, big box research and peer review, re-examination of the planned rural residential development as well. So we're looking forward to a great and busy 2025 in community development. We're going to be finalizing that Newberry comprehensive plan. We're going to be embarking on the land use, follow up the land use code, rewrite and reorganization. And we're looking at processes to see where our department can streamline some of our actions that we do. And we're going to continue to assist the citizens and development community of Newberry throughout the next year.
Well, Ms. Stacy, speaking on behalf of the whole commission and the town, when we say we're so excited to finally get into the comprehensive plan. This is something we've been planning to work on and working on for quite some time. It is Newberry's vision statements. It is where we say this is how we want to grow, what we want to look like, all of those kinds of things. So I'm very excited to finally get there. I'm tired just looking at everything that you guys do. As your liaison to the Planning and Zoning Board, I can tell you sometimes those meetings run longer than our meetings, right? And the P&Z Board really does a good job of asking questions, vetting everything, tweaking it before it even gets to you guys. So thank you so much. Commissioner, have any questions for Ms. Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Maison.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I know, right?
Sorry.
So the question I have, I love the breakdown. Do you have anything that you can put in as far as sunsetting on these developments that we've approved?
Yes, so that's one of the things we'll be bringing to you. It's on our list of things to examine. Some of these things have been out there for years and years, and we have actual provisions in our code right now that require they revert back to their original zoning, and I don't think that's been done. So we're going to go through some of those. We'll be discussing it with Mr. New and seeing what kind of strategy we want to take moving forward on some of those. As well as taking an examination of our code to see where we can go ahead as we're writing these regulations going forward, where we put those dates in there. Yep.
Other questions? Commissioner Martin.
Stacey, I just want to compliment you, coming in, taking charge of this group so easily. Really appreciate you doing that. I like the fact that the department as a whole just keeps track of all this evidence about what we actually do for planning, because that's not really a retail topic necessarily out or around the kitchen table or the restaurant, but it does happen and it has a huge impact on what we do, which ultimately does present on the retail level. So much appreciated. We make decisions based on information. The best information we can get, the better the decisions. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I want to thank my staff. I mean, I really walked into a great situation, and we've just kind of tried to keep the ball rolling as best we can. On my 2-month anniversary yesterday, so.
It already feels like years, right?
It does.
Other questions from the board?
Thank you.
I know this was a little bit before your time, but I had to pull a permit the other day, and I went into the Little Red Schoolhouse and sat down with the kiosk, and it may have took me 7 minutes because I had to create the account.
Yeah.
But it was in, it was out, it was easy.
Oh yeah, once your account is created, it's wonderful. You put it in your name and your information, and it pulls it right back up.
Very helpful.
Yes.
The only question I have, and I don't know where this fits in the timeline of conversations. It may be concurrent with the comp plan, but for a while I've been a proponent that our urban service area, which I'm very proud of, it's a planning tool that we have that not a lot of communities around us have. And for those of you in the audience who might not know what an urban service area is, that's where your city says, this is where we want to grow. We want to grow in here. Outside of that line, we're not interested in growing. But I'd like to dig into that USA a little bit more. And it doesn't have to be a legal document, but it could be a guiding set of principles of, this is where we're really looking for high level density, maybe outside of at the edges of it, but inside the USA, we are willing to have things like the rural plan developments, those kinds of things. So we can just have that conversation about ways that we can take that great planning tool and make it just a little bit better. And again, I'm patient to wait after the comp plan if that makes sense to do it during the comp plan. I'm not looking for a state legal document. I'm just looking for something that we can give staff and say, these things we'd like to think of in different areas of the urban service area.
So we do have, sorry.
He just looked like he had a question, so.
All right. We do have some provisions in our comp plan going forward, which we're going to do a little summary on October 1st.
Perfect.
That talks about the USA, but some of the more detailed stuff should just go in the land development code. But as long as we have the comp plan backing it, the words in the LDR are just extra boosting it, just to keep guiding it in the right way, yeah.
All right, good.
Mr. Mayor, my only comment to that is we'd be happy to do it. I think just what you said, there's ways to take something that's good and improve upon it. The planning department or community development department has a pretty robust work plan. Is when we finish the comp plan, we're expecting to jump straight into the land development regulations, which will also be a big project for the department. So we'll just seek some guidance, not necessarily tonight, from the commission on prioritization. I'm certain that we can do some activities concurrently, but there probably will be a threshold, maybe balanced by just applications that are coming in to see the best way to utilize staff times and what are priorities for the commission.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Stacy.
Just to say one thing, because we have our items getting ready to start, I want to apologize. Our agenda would never have been as packed as it has been lately. We had a hurricane, and so everything got pushed back.
Catching up.
Yes, so we would never have had this many, and I have made a note next year to keep an eye so that we're not killing poor Dallas's agendas.
He loves to work. So do these guys. These guys love meetings till 1, 2 in the morning. They'd be happy.
We don't want to do that again.
Yeah. All right, thank you, ma'am. That leads us to public announcements. Your commission likes to hear from you frequently and often. They set aside this time early in the meeting. These are 2-minute announcements. If you got a garage sale coming up, a festival, anything like that you want to let the public know about. If you need a little bit more time, there's a longer public announcement at the end of the night. We have 5 minutes. Anyone want to make a public announcement? Don't all jump up at once. All right, we'll move right along then to the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was published. I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That's going to move us into public hearings and ordinances. And item 8. All right, City of Newberry Commission hereby convenes the public hearing on the city's Newberry fiscal year 2024-25 final millage and final budget as required by Florida statutes chapter 129 and 200. If anyone in our audience is here for the purpose of contesting their tax assessment, a petition for adjustment with the Value Adjustment Board should have been filed no later than 5 p.m. on Friday, September 13th, 2024. The petition forms were available in the Alachua County Clerk's of the Court's office. Chapter 200 requires that a final hearing on the budget be preceded by a 2 to 5 day notice of that hearing. Chapter 129 requires that the Commission advertise a summary of that budget. It was advertised in this paper here. The proofs of publication can be received, confirming that such a notice has been given. A summary of the city budget has been provided for public review by means of advertisement in the city and the Alachua County Today on Thursday, September 19th, 2024, pursuant to these requirements. This evening, we will take a number of actions related to the final adoption of millage and budgets. I encourage you, if you've not already done so, to get a copy of the agenda so you may more easily follow the proceedings this evening. Citizen comment will be taken following the overview of the proposed final budget by the city manager and assistant city manager / CFO. City attorney will now present an overview of the truth in millage legislation, followed by the city manager and assistant city manager / CFO's explanations of the final and rollback millage rates. Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, in 1980, the Florida legislature adopted what is known as the Truth in Millage legislation, or TRIM, as it's called. The goal of the legislation was to ensure that taxpayers were advised of public hearings at which the local taxing authorities' budgets and millage rates are considered and adopted. Each year, the property appraiser completes an assessment of the value of all property and certifies to each taxing authority the taxable value of the property within its jurisdiction. Each taxing authority then notifies the property appraiser of its proposed millage rate, its rollback rate, and the date, time, and place of the public hearing to consider the proposed millage rate and proposed budget. Once the property appraiser receives this information, he or she sends a notice by first-class mail to every taxpayer on the assessment roll. The notice contains the information from the taxing authorities as to the proposed millage rate and the time, place of the public hearing. The notice sent to the taxpayers is called the trim notice. The trim notice lists what the taxes were for the prior year, what the taxes will be if the proposed budget changes are made, and what the taxes will be if no budget changes are made. This information is listed for each taxing authority. The notice also lists all voted levies for debt service. The purpose of the trim notice is to provide taxpayers with sufficient basic information to enable them to participate in the public hearing process.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The presentation of the budget for the Commission's consideration is one of my most important duties as your manager. As mandated by Florida law and our city's charter, I am happy to present you with a balanced budget. I am pleased to present the proposed final budget for the upcoming fiscal year, which reflects our ongoing commitment to responsible financial stewardship while making critical investments in our city's future. This budget prioritizes infrastructure improvements and capital projects that are essential for maintaining and enhancing the quality of life for our residents. We are focused on addressing long-term needs such as road improvements, water and wastewater system upgrades, the completion of key public facilities, including the new City Hall, and investments in our recreational opportunities. These investments are not just about building for today, but ensuring our community remains strong and vibrant for years to come. I'm also proud to report that we have been able to make these significant investments without raising property tax rate. Our tax rates remain among the lowest in our region, providing excellent value to our residents while supporting the infrastructure and services they rely on. Similarly, our utility rates continue to be competitive and affordable, ensuring that our residents and businesses have access to high-quality services at a cost that is manageable. The Commission has once again shown that they trust and believe in our staff by investing in our staff to ensure that we are being compensated fairly and equitably for their work. The budget reflects the careful planning and disciplined fiscal management that has become a hallmark of our city. It balances immediate needs with long-term goals, ensuring that we continue to grow responsibly while maintaining a commitment to financial stability. I look forward to working with you to finalize this budget and continue advancing our community's vision. The City Commission and staff worked hard to reduce the impact on our residents, and I am proud that this budget is funded at a final millage rate of 5.9000 mills, the same rate as previously adopted. There are no rate increases for fire assessment or any taxes levied. With the vision of the Commission and the community at the forefront, your staff has spent an enormous amount of time weighing the available funds and the many competing needs for providing services to our community. I want to thank our department heads and other charter officers for being cognizant of the unique challenges that we face for presenting budgets that reflect the goals of reducing the burden on the city's taxpayers while providing the highest levels of service. Dallas Lee, our Assistant City Manager / CFO, will now lead us through discussion of the millage and the budget.
Mr. Lee?
One of the requirements of the truth in millage legislation is to provide information about why final millage rates are higher or lower than the rolled-back millage rate. The final millage for the city of Newberry is 5.9000 mills, which is 9.83% higher than the rolled-back rate of 5.3721 mills. The rolled-back millage rate is defined as the millage rate, which exclusive of new construction, additions to structure, deletions, and property added due to geographic boundary changes, will provide the same ad valorem tax revenue for each taxing authority as was levied during the prior year. The City of Newberry's final millage rate is the rate at which the City Commission has, through due study and consideration, has determined is needed to fund the municipal operations of the City of Newberry in the best interests of public health and welfare. The city's budget is balanced at 5.900 mils, which represents no change from the previous year. The trim process requires that a notice of tax increase be advertised when the current year proposed aggregate millage rate exceeds the calculated aggregate rolled back millage rate. The aggregate rolled back millage rate is calculated by dividing the prior year estimated property tax revenue by the current year taxable property value divided by 1,000. The current year taxable value does not include new construction or annexed values. For 2024 tax year, the proposed final millage rate of 5.9000 is 9.83% greater than the rolled back rate of 5.3721. Mr. Mayor, the 2024-2025 final budget summary for all funds of the City of Newberry summarizes all revenues and other financing sources available to the city in the amount of $34,533,573, and reserves brought forward in the amount of $20,197,159, for total revenue and other funding sources available to the city in the amount of $54,730,732, and appropriations in the amount of $45,380,866, with reserves appropriated in the amount of $9,349,866, for total appropriations of $54,730,732, which is a net increase from the tentative adopted fiscal year 2025 budget of approximately $8 million. This is due to the carry forward of the City Hall construction project, and the budget summary published included this carry forward. The final general fund budget is $14,455,349. There are no changes from the published tentative budget. The final capital improvement funds budget is $14,989,770. There are no changes from the published tentative budget. The final special revenue funds budget is $8,486,847. There are no changes from the published tentative budget. The debt service fund budget is $400,880. There are no changes from the published tentative budget. The final enterprise fund budget is $15,208,786. There are no changes from the published tentative budget. The final internal service funds budget is $1,189,100. There are no changes from the published tentative budget. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my comments on the final budgets presented to you this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about the budget at this time.
Okay. Commission questions on the budget? No?
Didn't we have like 20 meetings on that?
Just a few. Okay, I always get lost in this section. We go to citizen comments before we have a motion?
Top of number 8, yep.
Okay, so I'd like to now invite the citizens to comment on the fiscal year 2024-25 proposed millage rates and final proposed budgets. We're going to have different sections for all the different enterprise funds tonight. So if you want to comment on the proposed final millage rate and final proposed budget, please come forward to the podium if you wish to address the commission. We do request that each speaker try to limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. The hearing will continue until everyone who wishes to address the commission has had the opportunity to speak. Okay. I'll now close the public comment section of this hearing. And Assistant City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, the document before you included in your agenda packet, the City of Newberry fiscal year 2024-2025 budget summary, includes the items that were described earlier. The budget resolution additionally amends the city manager's purchasing authority as was previously directed by the City Commission. Any additional adjustments to the final budget or millage should be made by motion at this time.
Does the commission wish to make any adjustments to the final budget or millage? No? Okay. Then we need a motion now.
The motion comes.
Not yet?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Assistant City Manager.
Florida statutes require that the name of the taxing authority, the millage rate to be levied, the rollback rate, and the percentage increase over the rollback rate be publicly announced. Accordingly, the City of Newberry City Commission has determined that a final millage rate of 5.9000 mils is necessary to fund the final general municipal budget. This is the same property tax as was levied in the prior year. The proposed final millage rate represents an increase of 9.83% from the rollback rate of 5.3721 mils.
Thank you, sir. Mr.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, the resolution before you is 2024-41. This is a resolution determining and adopting the final rate of taxation on real and personal property and making the annual levying of ad valorem taxes for the city of Newberry, Florida for the fiscal year 2024 and 2025, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion would be to approve resolution number 2024-41 upon its reading by title only.
Do I have that motion?
So
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. Does the commission have any comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Public have any comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the next resolution before you is Resolution 2024-42, a resolution of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the city's budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, providing for the final appropriation of funds of the City of Newberry for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, approving a final general city budget, adopting the 5-year capital improvement program for the city, providing authority to the city management, prescribing the terms, conditions, and provisions with respect to supplemental appropriations and reappropriations, making a determination of a public purpose, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2024-42 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Do I have that motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Clark, second from Commissioner Maison. Comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Assistant City Manager.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, the next 4 items relate to your utilities. The City of Newberry establishes utility rates that are sufficient to generate revenue to meet your operating expenses. Staff evaluates utility rates annually during the budget process, and if warranted, recommends rates be adjusted. Staff utilizes models for developing its utility rates to forecast customers' electric and water consumption and wastewater generation, and the anticipated expenses to determine whether rates will produce revenues which are sufficient to meet the expenses associated with providing utility services to our residents. Many of these costs have continued to increase or are fixed. At the City Commission's Utility Budget Workshop, City staff presented these proposed rate changes, and City Commission gave consensus to include those rates in the final budget. Since that workshop, staff worked diligently and was able to reduce the proposed rates by 1.5% in each category. Residential electric rates are proposed to be adjusted by 1.5% for an average residential impact of $1.81 per month. Non-residential rates are proposed to be adjusted in a similar fashion. These rate adjustments are required to maintain financial position of the utility and support funding of the future required infrastructure. FMPA has projected a lower fuel cost next fiscal year, which will allow the city to reduce the power cost adjustment and offset this increase. With these rate adjustments, our electric rates will continue to be competitive within our region and within the state. Customers were properly notified in their August bills, and the city will need to file additional reports with the Public Service Commission to inform them of the rate change.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance number 2024-30, an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, pertaining to electric utility services in the City of Newberry to amend and revise Section 98-63, subsections 1, 2, 3, and 8, and Section 98-70, subsections H and I of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Newberry pertaining to the energy charged, providing for codification of the same, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-30 upon its second reading by title only.
Any comments or questions? I have a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Maison. Any comments or questions from the dais on the motion on the floor? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Come on down.
I'm sorry, Brandy Oldman. Heard Dallas say the average impact would be how much on per utility bill? $1? The notice that I received, it would be $10.81.
That was the new customer charge.
Like,
difference.
so altogether, it's gonna be $10 and something more?
It's going from $9 to $10.
I don't know.
There's a part of your bill that's.
Hang on one second. Ask your questions, Ms. Brady, and then let him use the mic to read it in.
Okay, I just don't agree with this utility rate increase. I think it's, the fuel cost adjustment is going to not go down. nothing ever goes down. So we expect 2,000 customers to have higher bills. It doesn't matter if it's $1, I don't like it. That's all, really. Thank you.
All right, now will you answer the question?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I believe what the resident is speaking to is the notices we sent out showed the current customer charges. As you know, your utility bills are broken into a monthly customer charge plus a consumption charge. The monthly customer charge is going from $9 and change to $10 and change. So that's where I think the confusion's coming in.
So it's $1 increase for that one, roughly $1 increase for that one category.
Correct.
Okay, the only question I have here is, Dallas, we've had many workshops on these rate changes. Is there any connection to these rate changes which are under the inflationary forces that the cities around us are experiencing and having to increase, and the idea that these rate increases are being used to fund the charter application?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor. There's no funding in the proposed budget for anything to do with the charter. In addition, state law and generally accepted accounting principles require that your utility funds stand separate and fund themselves, generate enough revenues to fund themselves. The city does not transfer out of its utilities except for the cost of providing services to itself, which your auditors provide to you every year.
And we've had a very clean bill of health from the auditors, the independent auditors, many times. I've heard you say that at the workshop. I heard you say it at the first budget. I just wanted to make sure it's on the record for here tonight so that everyone is clear and no outlandish statements and inaccurate statements are being made beyond. Okay. All those in favor? Do you have questions?
I do have a question, because I want the viewers to see this. But what are our rates compared to the municipals around us? Do you have that slide? And where are we at?
The red arrow right in the middle.
But we're the lowest.
No,
Besides
we're in the middle with the tax.
Yeah.
For the red area.
Or beside for that, yeah. So we're in the middle. Alachua would be, it's always hard. Alachua's got a sweetheart deal right now with GRU. It's kind of a sunk cost situation that they're in. But if you look at what people are experiencing around us, our staff is doing a fantastic job of bringing this and trying to keep it under control. And again, if you pay attention to, it's difficult when our increases are so much under what other people's increases are, because we're still experiencing an increase and nobody likes the increase. But when other people are going up 6, 7, 8%, and we're going up 1.5%, I think that's something to celebrate, and I think our residents need to know that that's something to celebrate, because our team is doing a whole lot better job navigating these economic waters than folks around us. Okay, was that finally your question, Commissioner Maison?
We're good. I was
okay. Do you have a question, Commissioner Cole?
Yeah, Dallas, why didn't you put our sister city in here? It's always in here every year. What's the name of it? Over there?
Archer.
No. Green Cove Springs. You left it.
They're on here.
Are they?
It's in the 9-point font
They're
at the bottom.
to the right, about 6.
Green Cove Springs.
Yeah,
6
Okay, as
cities
long
to
as
the
we're
right.
beating them, I'm happy. All right.
there you go. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Lee.
Wastewater rates are proposed to be adjusted by 9.5% in the consumption charge and in the residential customer charge for an average residential impact of $6.80 per month. This rate increases and keeps the city's rates at some of the lowest residential rates in our area and lower than the state average for residential rates. These rate increases also work towards the Commission's goal of operating self-sustaining utility enterprises. Primary driver behind these rate increases was additional permit compliance requirements placed on the city by FDEP, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, inflationary factors, and continued maintenance increases. Customers were properly notified in their August bills of the proposed rate changes.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, this is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-31, an ordinance pertaining to wastewater service within the city of Newberry, amending the prior established rates and section 98-155 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Newberry, Florida, amending ordinance number 2023-27, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-31 upon its second reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Now I have that motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, a second from Commissioner Martin. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais?
Let's record it.
Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That will take us to water rates. Assistant City Manager.
Water rates are proposed to be adjusted by 6% in the consumption charge and in the residential customer charge for an average residential impact of $2.07 per month. This rate increase keeps the city's rates at some of the lowest residential rates in our area. These rate increases also work towards the Commission's goal of operating self-sustaining utility enterprises. Customers were properly notified in their August bills of the proposed rate changes.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 2024-32, an ordinance pertaining to water service within the city of Newberry, amending the prior established rates and amending sections 98-154 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Newberry, amending ordinance number 2023-28, repealing all ordinances in conflict and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-32 upon its second reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Do I have that motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, second from Commissioner Martin. Comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Lee.
Mr. Mayor, development fees are collected to offset the impact development has on the utility infrastructure. These fees are charged against new construction at the time of permit issuance to offset the cost of new infrastructure needs of the utility. These funds are held in trust funds to only be used on the expansion and enhancements of your utility systems. Water and wastewater fees are collected by equivalent residential unit. The City Commission adopted development fees in 2005 and last increased the fees in 2022. These fees have been critical in funding the utility system. The city's adopted CIP plans for over $100 million in projects in the next several years, which are needed to support the development in the community. In 2023, the Commission directed staff to hire a rate expert to complete a study on the appropriate rate for development fees. The study was completed and a recommended increase in the fees to allow for future funding of infrastructure improvements needed to support development within the city, such as the wastewater treatment plant and the new water tower. These fees have been publicly discussed in 4 meetings and are proposed to be stepped in 50% each year for the following 2 years until we reach the rates identified by the study. In addition to the increase in the fees, we have added clarifying language to address tiny homes. To meet the requirements of the statute, this ordinance requires a supermajority approval from the City Commission.
Okay, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 2024-33, an ordinance pertaining to utilities within the city of Newberry, amending Division 2 and Division 3 of Article 6, Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Newberry pertaining to water system development charges and sewer system development charges, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed ordinance number 2024-33 upon its second reading by title only.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do I have that motion? I have a motion from Commissioner Clark.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Farnsworth. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Dallas, can you give me, or Mike, can you give me an example of the clarifying language for the tiny homes? Give me just the broad strokes for the folks.
So your ordinance already spoke to tiny homes, but it was a little unclear. It had some, I would call, superfluous language, so we removed the superfluous language and just said residential units underneath 950 square feet shall count as 3/4 of an ERU, and residential units and RVs underneath 500 square feet shall count as 1/2 of an ERU.
You did that all from memory. Excellent job. Anything you missed?
Deer in the headlights look here when you said that. 'Cause I was working on something else, so I'm so appreciative that Dallas took the play.
All right. Well done. Commissioner Martin.
I appreciate everybody's work on the development fees. I'll be voting in favor of it. However, I just wanted everybody to be aware, as I said previously, probably 2 months ago, I'm not totally sold on the impact fees actually executing what we are thinking they're supposed to do. That's all I wanted to say.
I also just wanted to say thank you to staff for this. We haven't voted on it yet, but I'm anticipating favorable vote. I think it's really tough to keep a development fee and an impact fee different in our brains because they in essence do the same thing, but a development fee pays, you are actually buying a capacity inside the water treatment. So it's a little bit psychologically, philosophically different than the impact fee. But I also want to say kudos to our staff and really kudos to you guys, because this is tough, right? Increasing 50% over the next 2 years. We've all heard our residents talk about shifting and getting the developers to pay more of their fair share. You saw at the last budget meeting, we had a bunch of local developers here, and even the local developers understand the struggles that we're having, and they didn't stand up and object, and I thought that speaks volumes. So once again, I see you guys taking steps that other communities don't take at this point in their development. At our size, you're passing impact fees, you're doing what you need to do on development fees. I mean, these are really impressive, hard things to stand up when people are struggling and take these steps to help the community. And so I just want to say, as a resident, thank you guys for taking the hard steps to make sure that our future is bright. And with that, citizen comments on development fees. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Dallas, this is kind of you spent a good portion of your time working on this. Do you have any closing comments, acknowledgements that you want? I'll give you first dibs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank the City Commission for your guidance in the budget process this year. I think we had a very smooth budget process. All being said, of course, thank the mayor and the city, the charter officers for their input as well. Mike for his leadership, the department heads who produced mostly compliant budgets. And then, of course, I want to thank my own finance team who puts hours and hours and hours into the budget process and then takes care of all the other work so I can focus on the budget. So thank you all. I think we've adopted a very good budget this year.
I agree, Mr. Manager. Well, we might see you before then, but Mr. Manager, you got anything you want to say at the end of what's probably the most important moments in our annual tasks?
Absolutely, and I am going to try to be respectful of your time, but I do have some people I think worth highlighting, or some points worth highlighting. The City Commission approved the 11th budget during my tenure here, and without a doubt, it gets better every year. The process in particular, the feedback that we get from the community and the Commission, but this year has been the best. This 11th budget is the best budget that the Commission has approved, in my opinion. And developing a budget, this is a $55 million budget too. This is not, you're not the board of a small business. A $55 million enterprise is a large, complex business, and you guys provide the leadership for that. But developing a $55 million budget begins with understanding the community and what the community wants and its priorities. And we learn this through our interactions, both primarily with the City Commission, who are the voice of the public and establishing the community's priorities. We also learn it from our direct interactions with the community, what we hear at commission meetings, what we hear every day when we're interfacing the public as we provide services to them. I appreciate the leadership of elected officials in casting vision. Our job is to hear the vision that you're casting and then convert that to what I call government speak and go to work and try to make that vision become a reality. So budgeting is a very time-consuming effort. We spend about 9 months of the year preparing a budget for your consideration. And every one of our team members, and I mean every last employee, participates in some ways. Typically in January, it starts with budget rollout. Dallas is working on it before them, but we introduce it to our staff in January. We're having team meetings where we ask every employee to look at their budget and offer feedback on things that they think they need to provide public service better, or areas where they think we can save money. Then we develop staff's tentative budget by the end of May. That's kind of our timeline for that, and then we start a process, which you all know is a very intensive process of meeting with the public and our elected officials in June. We have sometimes as few as 5, never had less than 5, sometimes as many as 7 public meetings during that process that all gets us to where we are now, which is the second public hearing at the end of September all just in time to start a brand-new fiscal year. Did I say September?
No, she sneezed. I
Oh,
said
okay,
bless you.
bless you. All so that we can get this thing going on October the 1st. So I appreciate the leadership of elected officials in casting that vision. And then I'd also wish to point out that the significant effort that our staff puts in, particularly your senior leadership team, the developing a budget probably takes during the summer months somewhere from 20% of their time to 40 or 50% of your time, just depending on who they are. I especially appreciate the efforts of Assistant City Manager Dallas Lee, who is the project manager for budget. And each year, he takes on a little bit more of the budget responsibility and that leadership role in interfacing with our department heads in each department. I appreciate them. I know it's a big ask of all the staff that work with him. I don't get into the daily putting togethers that they do like I do with Dallas, but just a tremendous effort. And I was looking in the paper at everybody's proposed budget today at all the cities. I mean, Alachua County today, it is just one budget after another of small cities. And I look at our budget and I think of where this community has grown over the last 11 years, again, under the leadership of these elected officials. And I'm really proud of the work that's being done in Newberry, Florida. And I think our residents should also be proud of the vision that y'all are casting and the work that's getting done by our staff team. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me that time.
Absolutely. Commissioner, have anything, comments you want to make here at the end? I got a couple, but I'll yield the floor to you guys first. I want to echo everything that you just said, Mike. And this is 5 years in a row that our financing team has won the highest award in the nation for transparency. 4 years in a row that we've won that award. It means that other folks are outside looking in, and they are saying, you guys are transparent, you guys are accountable, you guys are financially responsible, and I don't know of any other local community that can claim that. I think we should all be proud of that fact. I think it's one of the reasons why so many people are moving to Newberry, because we have a stable government, we have everything that's within our control to stabilize. We're stabilizing. Plenty of things are outside of our control, and I think residents see that when they look around. They know that that's what they can expect, and I just appreciate, because you guys set the policy, but you guys go nuts and bolts into it and figure out how to make it work. And at this point, we don't even have to say you got to rein that back, because you know what not to even bring to us. You know it's going to get reined back. So thank you for running such a well-oiled machine, and we appreciate it. All right, that's going to move us to item 14, FDEP State Revolving Fund Drinking Water Elevated Storage Tank Construction. Mr. Attorney, would you please read Resolution 2024-46 into the record for us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program, making findings, authorizing the loan application, authorizing the loan agreement, establishing pledged revenues, designating authorized representatives, providing assurances, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed resolution number 2024-46.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Lee, you want to take us through the presentation before I ask for that motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it pretty high level unless the City Commission has any questions, but this is the application for the SRF loan program for your elevated water tower, elevated storage tank out on State Road 26 in the Tanglewood property. We have completed design and now have been approved by SRF to move to the next phase, which is construction. So this is a loan application in the amount of $5.3 million to the SRF for the construction of that water tower. We have been awarded $1 million in legislative appropriations, which will go towards that project as well. And then this is a pretty good dovetail, because the development fees that the commission just increased actually will pay for this debt. So, unless the commission has any other questions.
Commission have any questions? If not, I'll have a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, a second from Commissioner Mazon. Any comments, questions on the motion floor from the dais? Comments, questions from the
I
podium?
do have one more comment just for the commission's edification. We do not owe anything on this loan until we start drawing from it for construction purposes, so we are going to hold off on drawing and beginning construction until we get through the wastewater plant situation with SRF, so that we know the full financial picture across both utility funds, because SRF looks at the water wastewater system as one. So while we'll be approved, we will not start drawing on it until we have a clear path forward on the wastewater plant.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a comment that this is significant infrastructure project for the city. This is the single largest enhancement that we need to make on our water system. And, you know, I hear and read a lot about infrastructure as the community grows, that, you know, do we have adequate infrastructure to support development that's approved? And, you know, staff's taken the commission's direction. Staff's position is we don't have to have the infrastructure in place to support a 500 home development that we think is going to take 10 years to build out. We need to bring that infrastructure online just in time. We need to bring it on when we need it. And so the developments that paid these development fees that y'all just approved to increase, they've been paying for, you know, that's been a 15-year charge. And we take that money, and some of it we put in the bank, and some of it we use to pay debt service that was taken out previously. But they've been paying in for the whole life of that development, and we're going to bring this elevated storage tank online in the next 18 months to 2 years, which will be just when it's needed, not necessarily when the house that paid the development fee was constructed and CO'd, but it will be used to pay the debt service for the loan you just approved, infrastructure coming online, ensuring that our infrastructure is in place when growth needs it.
Okay, thank you, sir. I had a motion from Commissioner Farnsworth, seconded by Commissioner Mazon. We already went to the public. Did we go to the public? Citizen comment? Citizen comment on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to item 15, second reading for small-scale future land use map amendment from residential low density to commercial. This is legislative. Mr. Attorney, on second reading, would you please read ordinance 2024-26/CPA 24-05 into the record?
An ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending ordinance number 4-91 is amended, relating to an amendment of the future land use plan map of the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan under the expedited amendment procedures established in sections 163.3184, subparagraphs 2 and 3 of the Florida statutes, and in conformance with sections 163.3161 through 163.3215 of the Florida statutes, providing for a change in future land use classification from residential low density to commercial on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. Alachua County tax parcel number is 02268-000-000 on a site consisting of approximately 0.24 acres, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-26 upon its second reading by title only.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Stacy, take it away.
I'm not sure because I haven't done a second reading. Do you all have me go through the whole process?
If you have nothing new to change, you can say following the presentation we gave upon first reading. If the commission put any, and I don't believe they did, any conditions, you can go back over the conditions.
Okay.
But you do not have to go through the whole presentation again.
Okay, wonderful. There have been no changes since our first reading. So if you have any specific questions, I can go through the slide and show you where we are with any answers that you might need.
Okay. Commission come up with any questions between first and second reading? No. Okay. If there aren't, I'll have a motion. Okay, I had the motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Coleman. I heard you simultaneously. All right. You both agree with that? Yeah. Took a little while to get here. Comments, questions, motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 16 is we're going to enter quasi judicial. So because we are entering quasi judicial, it means the commission will stop being a legislative body and become a judicial board. That means we have to follow certain rules and adhere to a different standard of decision making. The primary rule must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when the judicial board makes a decision. The standard states the following, and I quote, "All public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to expert, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record." Now I'm going to ask the attorney to read into the record the ordinance by title only. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the rezoning of approximately .24 contiguous acres, more or less, pursuant to a petition by the property owner of said acreage, amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, providing for rezoning from residential single-family RSF-2 zoning district to commercial central business district C-CBD zoning district on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. The tax parcel numbers are 02268-000-000, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date. Appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-25 upon its second reading by title only.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
I'm now going to ask the clerk if you would swear in the applicant, staff, anyone wishing to participate. We've got 4 quasi judicials tonight, so if you're here to speak to any of them, we can go ahead and swear in right now, get one step done. CHW, you don't want to stand up back there?
There's BOA.
Stacy Hector.
Oh, my bad. You're in a whole different meeting, my bad. We got 3 meetings today, so it's a lot.
I'm just making sure, because they're in the BOA, they're in another.
So we'll have to swear them again anyway.
Do you hereby swear or affirm the testimony you have to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do.
You can do this one.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we begin, we need to disclose any ex parte communications and disclose whether any member physically inspected the property, if you drove there, if you looked around, that kind of a thing. Ex parte communications are any conversations or transmission of information that may have bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. We'll go ahead and do ex parte for all 4 quasis for the commission meeting. BOA will have to do this again. Commissioner Coleman?
None.
Commissioner Clark?
None.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
None.
Commissioner Martin?
None.
Commissioner Mazon?
I drive by them all, but I don't talk to nobody.
I'm a non-voting chair, but I have nothing to disclose as well. Now I'm going to explain the order of presentations that we're going to follow for every quasi-judicial item before us tonight. First, we're going to hear from the staff with the overview. Then the applicant has the opportunity to make a presentation with no time limit. Then we'll hear staff's report and recommendation, also with no time limit. I've not been contacted by anybody wishing to claim a third-party intervener status, so that should move us to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to speak to this agenda item have 3 minutes to do so. Then we will hear from the applicant if they want to make a cross-examination. Staff can make a cross-examination. Members of the decision-making body through the chair can ask questions of the staff or the applicant or any one of the participants. Then we'll hear final arguments from the applicant and staff. Then the city attorney will advise the decision-making body, applicable law, and the factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the application. Then we'll have deliberations of the applications, and after deliberations, a vote shall be taken to approve conditions, continue, or deny. Ms. Stacy, take it away with the staff overview. If the applicant isn't present, move right into your presentation and recommendation.
Sounds good. So there are no changes from the first reading to the second reading, but I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, so you're going to rest on the presentation that was given in the first quasi?
Yes.
All right, that's going to move us to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to speak to this agenda item have 3 minutes to do so. This is a resident right here on Newberry Road. It's taking residential to commercial. It's right on Newberry Road. That's what we're asking for, what we're hoping for. Hearing none, that's going to take us all the way to member decision-making body. Do you have any questions? Motion first. I'm not there yet. I got to get there. Mr. Attorney, would you please advise the decision-making body applicable law and factual findings must be made to approve?
Substantial and competent evidence.
Thank you so much. Now we'll enter into deliberations. If there are no deliberations, I have a motion.
Motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Mason. Second from Commissioner Martin. Any comments or questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Staff is going to help me watch, see if anybody new. If nobody new comes into the room, I won't have to watch. Somebody new came in?
No, not yet.
I won't have to read through all that again. That'll save us a little bit of time. We're going to go to legislative in item 17, then we'll be back to quasi judicial. So, Mr. Attorney, on second reading, would you please read ordinance 2024-22/CPA 24-08 into the record?
An ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending ordinance number 4-91 is amended relating to an amendment to the future land use plan map of the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan of 9.85 acres of land under the small-scale development amendment procedures established under the small-scale amendment provisions of section 163.3187 of the Florida statutes as amended, providing for a change in land use classification from Alachua County rural agricultural, less than or equal to one dwelling unit per 5 acres, to the City of Newberry agricultural, less than or equal to one dwelling unit per 5 acres on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. The tax parcel number is 0442-000-000, consisting of approximately 9.85 contiguous acres of land, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-22 upon its second and reading by title only.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Zoom, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. This is Uma Sarmishta from City of Newberry. Again, this is the second reading for ordinance 2024-22, and there has been no change from the first reading. It's a like-to-like change from Alachua County Rural Agriculture to City of Newberry Agriculture Lot on 9.85 acres. And if there is any question, I'm here. Otherwise, staff recommend City Commission to approve for 2024-22 CPA 2408.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Welcome to Newberry Ag. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Maison, second from Commissioner Coleman. Comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Going from County Ag to Newberry Ag. Comments from the citizens? Going from County Ag to Newberry Ag. Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. No one new has entered the room, so we're going to go back into quasi judicial. We're at item 20, right? Back into quasi. I am going to ask the attorney, would you please read on second reading ordinance 2024-21/LDR 24/17 into the record for us? Did I skip one?
Did you go from 18 to 20?
Did I go from 18 to 20?
I think you did.
I did. All right, back up. Back up. We're still on 19.
Yes.
Second reading, can you read ordinance 2024-20/CPA 24-07 into the record for us? There we go. I thought I skipped it.
Mr. Mayor, I have this one as the quasi judicial
Yes.
2024-23.
That's what even I do.
Did I skip? I flipped the page. I skipped two ahead.
Easy to do
ahead.
with the-
But we are in
with the load.
quasi judicial. So ordinance 2024-23
Yes.
/LDR 2418. We back on track now?
Yes,
There
sir.
you go. I apologize. Thank
Is
you.
an
Thank you.
ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the amendment of the official zoning atlas for the rezoning of 9.85 acres, more or less, pursuant to an application amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, providing for rezoning from Alachua County Agricultural A zoning district to the City of Newberry Agricultural A zoning district on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, which have been recently annexed thereto. Tax parcel number is 04442-000-000, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance 2024-23 upon its reading by title only for second and final reading.
Thank you, sir. All right, go right into the staff overview. If the applicant doesn't want to make a
Yes.
presentation, move into
Thank
your
you, Mr.
recommendation.
Mayor. Yes, ordinance 2024-23, there has been no change since my first reading. This is like-to-like rezoning from county agriculture to city agriculture. I'm here for any question, and the staff recommend City Commission to approve ordinance 2024-23, LDR 2418.
Okay, thank you. That was great.
We don't have applicant here, so.
Don't have the applicant here. Staff approval. We're going to move to members of the decision-making board. Do you have any questions? No? The attorney already advised us. We'll enter deliberations. If there are no deliberations, I'll have a motion.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Coleman. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Any public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passes unanimously. Now we're going to take a pause from quasi, enter into legislative. Mr. Attorney, would you read on second reading ordinance 2024-20/CPA 2407?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, amending ordinance number 4-91 as amended, relating to an amendment of the future land use plan map of the City of Newberry Comprehensive Plan of 4.76 acres of land under the small-scale development amendment procedures established under the small-scale amendment provisions of Section 163.3187 of the Florida statutes as amended, providing for a change in land use classification from Alachua County rural agricultural less than or equal to one dwelling unit per 5 acres to the City of Newberry agricultural less than or equal to one dwelling unit per 5 acres on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. The tax parcel number is 01925-010-000, consisting of approximately 4.76 contiguous acres, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed upon second and final reading by title only, ordinance number 2024-20, and that'll be the appropriate motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Newman, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm presenting ordinance 2024-20. It is again the future land use map amendment of from agriculture, county agriculture to city agriculture. There is no change after first reading, and if there is any question, I'm here. Otherwise, staff recommend approval of ordinance 2024-20, CPA 2407.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Any comments, questions from the dais? I have a motion from Commissioner Coleman, second from Commissioner Maison. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That's going to move us back into quasi. Mr. Attorney, would you please read on second reading ordinance 2024-21/LDR 24-17 into the record?
Yes, sir. This is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the amendment of the official zoning atlas for the rezoning of 4.76 acres, more or less, pursuant to an application amending the official zoning atlas for the City of Newberry land development regulations, providing for rezoning from Alachua County Agricultural A zoning district to the City of Newberry Agricultural A zoning district on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, which have been recently annexed thereto. Tax parcel number is 01925-010-000, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass upon second and final reading, ordinance number 2024-21, upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Newman, give us the overview. If the applicant's not here, slide right into the presentation recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is ordinance 2024-21, LDR 24-7. It's a rezoning of from county agriculture to city agriculture. The applicant is not here. It's again rezoning of recently annexed property. I am here for any question. There has been no change from the first reading. So the staff recommend approval of ordinance 2024-21, LDR 2417.
Thank you, ma'am.
Here for any
We're going to go
questions.
all the way now. Public comment. Any members of the public here to speak to this item? You have 3 minutes to do so. Seeing none, that's going to take us down to member Susan Baker Biden. Do you have any questions? Okay. Yep, we have already been advised, so I have a motion from Commissioner Barton, second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor of the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. One more quasi. All right, you ready, Ms. Stacy? I'm ready. Let's do it. Mr. Attorney, would you please read on second reading ordinance 2024-24/LDR 24-19 into the record for us?
Yes, sir. This is an ordinance of the City of Newberry, Florida, relating to the rezoning of approximately 1.34 contiguous acres, more or less, pursuant to a petition by the property owner of said acreage, amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Newberry land development regulations, providing for rezoning from commercial intensive CI zoning district to the commercial central business district C-CBD zoning district on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. The tax parcel number is 01963-001-000, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2024-24 upon its second reading by title only.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Stacy, go ahead and give us the overview. The applicant does want to make a presentation. Slide right into staff's presentation and recommendation.
Good evening, and we have this rezoning here. There have been no changes since our first reading, so I am here to answer any questions if you need any, and here's the motion.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'll move us to public comment. Any members of the public here to speak to this agenda item? You have 3 minutes to do so. Seeing none, that'll take us down to members of the citizen body. Do you have any new questions between first and second reading? Hearing none, that will take us to deliberations. There are no deliberations. I'll have a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Mazon, second from Commissioner Martin. Comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That takes us out of quasi judicial and on to item 22. Mr. New, you want to tell us about a letter of support for Swanee Valley Feeds Newberry Rail Spur Project. Very exciting to have the opportunity to engage in conversations with the railroad once again.
Absolutely. And Mr. Mayor, it's been a long meeting, and I'll be brief, but that's pretty impossible as well, so please bear with me. Mr. Mayor, this is an item that comes from one of our corporate partners, and it's actually been a long time in the work. First, Will Lloyd, who is Vice President for Swanee Valley Feeds, is in the audience tonight. He certainly would be happy to provide detail that I can't, or maybe answer any questions. But typically, we are the ones that are asking for letters of support. We ask the county, we ask representatives from state or federal levels to write letters of support for projects that we're undertaking. And I thought that our commission would be pleased to engage, to return the favor for a project that is being proposed for Newberry. Just a little bit of and so recommended action is to authorize the mayor to transmit a letter supporting Swanee Valley Feeds Rail Spur Project, which is planned in the Commerce 41 Park, and then just listed some of the strategic goals and objectives that align with this request. So just a little bit of background. Probably 6 years ago, maybe more, Swanee Valley Feed began working on a project to develop a feed product that would utilize rail. And their current location in Trenton doesn't have a rail option. They acquired a large amount of land in Commerce 41 Park, but felt like from a business perspective, it would be better to grow into that site because ultimately they wanted the ingredients to the feed that they produce to come in by rail. And a rail spur is an expensive proposition to the project they have in Commerce 41. So they came in, they were talking with Brian about could we do a temporary loading facility in Newberry in downtown, somewhere on rail where we could just unload rail cars into trucks and tanker trucks, and that's what they do. So you see that operation that began, I'd say it's been about 3 years ago now, down in front of the library, where CSX or Florida Northern is unloading rail cars into tanker trucks. They are transported on the highway into Commerce 41 Park and become ingredients to a feed process. So all along that project has been intended to try to have those ingredients railed directly into the property in Commerce 41. And so Swanee Valley Feeds is now to the point of trying to make that happen. The area in red there shows where they're currently doing the unloading operation. They transferred over to Commerce 41 to make feed. And if they're able to get this new rail spur, we just mentioned that some of they have a report that's written. I believe I distributed to everyone, but I certainly have it available. Some of the benefits to the community would be the improved safety by not having that operation happen in our downtown area. It certainly is a rail operation, but it is in a commercial and residential area more so than Commerce 41. Improved air quality. See, we got a little dust whenever they're doing that unloading operation. Certainly nothing to reach a threshold of threatening human health, but less dust is better in our downtown area. Less noise, and a rail spur potentially benefits more than just Swanee Valley Feeds. Once we get the spur, it's possible that it could be used by other property owners in Swanee Valley Feeds. So here's the best graphic image that I have of it is there's already an existing siding that comes down adjacent to the main line, and that siding terminates at State Road 45. So what they're proposing to do is intercept that siding, and they've worked out this process, as I understand this project, with representatives from CSX and Florida Northern. They would intercept that siding, route it onto their property, put in a switch, and be able to route it either, in this case, it would be the dashed blue line for where they would do the unloading of cars, or they could continue through and then continue on the current path of the siding. The estimated cost for that project is $2.3 million, and they're planning, when they get letters of support, to then approach not lenders, but grant agencies within the state, the same ones that we might be applying to, either FDOT, because using rail trips and eliminating transportation trips on a highway network is beneficial. So there are several state and federal agencies that would find a project like this something worthy of a grant, and my understanding is they will take our letter of support and include it with a grant application to those entities. So that's kind of the background. I'm available for questions, but with Will in the room, if they get very complex at all, I think it'd be best if we'll try to handle them.
Commissioner Maison.
So they own that property that's right there, the two lots or one lot? How many?
Right
there.
They own those two lots. They also own the bulk, I'd say the majority of the park north of that road. Like today, if you want to see the feed mill operation or what they're doing, it's in those white tubes that you see laying on the ground. So as I understand it, that is the process ongoing. It's a little bit of a put it all together, put all the ingredients together and let them ferment, as I understand it. I'm sure Will is quite enjoying my my description of what goes on the site over there. So if you need any more detail, like I said, be glad to answer him. But they own the majority of the park, and we look forward to the time that they are ready to go into full-scale production with facilities, and that'll create new jobs, and it perfectly fits with Newberry's aspirations to become a force in agriculture in the southeastern United States. It'll be a perfect enterprise to have operating within our city limits.
Commissioner Clark.
Mike, is there going to be a, where that code comes in on the backside of that railroad coming down off of 235 back to the west, there's a road through there. Is this spur going to have any type of transportation over it? Or will it?
No, sir. You can actually see just above where the proposed work is being shown, you see where that road goes out of the park and over to the CSX right away. You can see just the lines that show it. I wish I had a.
Well, I do see.
Okay.
On the back side, on the east side, so there won't be no crossings on.
There are no additional.
Once this thing comes off, it goes into their property.
It goes into their property, and that's it. I think there'd be potential for that track to be extended elsewhere in the park if so desired. It's a possibility of the Watson Construction might want this. We have another business looking at Newberry, and their primary interest in Newberry is being able to connect to that siding as well. So we in the economic development world, we spend a lot of time talking to businesses about how we can get them to utilize rail and develop on some of our rail sites.
So Mike, this is gonna alleviate that sound that we hear from that train downtown, right? And the traffic. Excuse me?
Microphone. The sound of the train going through Newberry, to me, sounds like good economic development for our community. So I always hope that we have a train moving through town. But the cars and the unloading process that you see right now, it will maybe slow that a little bit. But I tell you, if the rail sounds ever stop and going through Newberry, that's not necessarily good for Newberry economically, and it's not good for the state of
I'm
Florida.
looking at traffic, that's all.
Understood. Understand. It is inconvenient when it's there. I agree with you on that.
Commissioner Martin.
Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to support a letter for them. I don't know if are we needing a motion or a head nod?
Yeah, it's a motion.
It's a motion, yeah.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Coleman. I just want to take this public
Does he
opportunity.
want to say anything?
Yeah, what would you?
Come on down. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Swanee Valley Feed. You guys have been a fantastic partner on Newberry's economic development efforts to grow an ag tech research park. You've come to meetings, you've offered your expertise, you've written us letters of recommendation and support. So I'm happy that we have a small chance to repay the kindness that you've given us over the last few years. So anything you want to tell us about this, and I'm very excited to get you at a home location and off of that spot.
We are too. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission. First thing I want to say is thank you so much to the City of Newberry. It's been a pleasure to work with. I don't know if that's always the experience everywhere. And on top of that, the support for agriculture, which is critical for lots of things in terms of the environment, the water, being stewards of the land, to recharge for our aquifer. And I think it's just a fabric of the state of Florida that makes this state just a great place to live. We really appreciate your support. The F300 Ag Food Tech Park. Also, I think that's there's not many places that put agriculture first. I know it's part of the heritage here in the city of Newberry, and very much appreciated. This project, we started transloading in 2021 when we unloaded our first rail car. So you were right. And so here in 2024, the last 12 months, I added that up. We're now doing 140 rail cars over the past 12 months. So it has grown. We were not sure when we did the first one if it was going to take off. It sure did. And I think back to 2020 and everything we went through in terms of the supply chain. And if we didn't have this access to rail here, I don't know what we would have done. I don't think we would have made it through without having critical shortages of feed in the area. And this is one of those critical infrastructure projects we think will support a key industry in our state and this region. So if you have any questions at all, happy to answer.
Any questions? Commissioner Martin.
Any chance we can get you to change the name to Newberry Feed?
Little division.
Maybe hyphenate the name.
We can have it.
We'll take it back. Yeah.
Take that under consideration. Yes, sir.
That's a caveat to my motion.
Yeah. I have a question for Mike, but we do appreciate, and one of the things I'm looking forward to is that you guys know we had a really nice plan to take Larry Keene Drive and create a grid system and connect it to 15th. If we can help Swanee Valley Feed get a home location, I think there's an opportunity to get that conversation back on track with CSX. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed, and you're going to get a glowing letter of support because we really want you to be successful.
That's the second caveat.
Second caveat. Okay. And now that wasn't really a question. It was more a statement of hope, right? You breathe it into existence. Okay, I have a motion, right? Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Coleman. Any comments, questions on the motion from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Attorney, would you please read new item 23, Resolution 2024-47 into the record for us?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, declaring a local state of emergency for the City of Newberry pursuant to Section 252.38, subparagraph 2 of the Florida statutes due to the threat of potential tropical cyclone 9, which I think is going to be called Eileen, I think eventually.
Helene.
Providing for waiver of procedures and formalities, delegating authority, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed Resolution 2024-47 upon its reading by title only.
All right, Mike, we just finished cleaning up from Debbie, so. Yeah.
Spoke to the mayor this afternoon before the meeting, and he said, hey, are y'all aware that there's a storm out there? We haven't been getting the usual barrage of emails, and I said, be patient. You're about to be barraged. And actually, I sent one to the commission since we started this meeting. But, we woke up in storm mode this morning, and our staff spent the better part of the day in storm preparation. We have learned from Alachua County that they plan to open the Eastern Newberry Sports Complex as an emergency shelter for residents. They think that would happen Wednesday afternoon is currently our best guess. So we are in full-blown storm prep mode. We'll begin meeting with Alachua County Emergency Services tomorrow and also doing our first mutual aid calls with FMEA. We anticipate to go ahead and put up to 3 crews on standby. They'll be coming in from areas of the southeast that are not impacted. And I'll tell you that mutual aid, how important it is that the world sees who responds. So often when we have 5 linemen, and when we respond to mutual aid to another communities and we're able to send 1 or 2, it makes a big impact. And so communities want to reciprocate, and they hear that cities like Newberry or Green Coast Springs, your second favorite city in Florida, when we send crews to mutual aid, and we have done that quite a bit in the last couple of years, that we'll be putting crews on standby to come assist us in case we're ever hit with a significant impact. But just to assure the commission and the community of sandbags. So we'll have sandbagging operation beginning tomorrow morning. We have 2 loads of sand being delivered and 2,000 sandbags that'll be delivered onto the site first thing in the morning. And as we learn more and we make other services available, we'll be advising the community through normal channels, but that primarily is through social media. Remind all of our residents that you can sign up through your utility account for emergency notifications from the city, and if you need help on how to get signed up, you can contact our staff at City Hall and they'll kind of walk you through it, but you can also connect to that through our website.
Where's the site?
The sandbags will be over at the yard in between.
Yeah, the sandbags will be.
Bring your own shovel. We'll have the sand in the bags, but shovels walk away, so bring your own shovel.
Yeah, and people don't like it when we put a short chain on them into the ground. So, yeah, bring your own shovel.
Before I ask for a motion on this, I just want to take a moment to once again reflect how far we've come. When I was a commissioner 12 years ago, the city of Newberry power blipped about 3 times a day. And I'd have, as a teacher, I'd have to start everything over again. You get everything ready to go, and then the power would blip, right? And I remember that we had one lineman, because we weren't paying a rate that was competitive with everyone else. So we train them, and then they leave. So and now in a decade, we have a mutual aid agreement, and we are going and assisting other communities because I'm on Central Florida Electric where I live. And so I watch on social media as everyone says, oh man, that was tough. I was out of power for 2 hours. And I know that, I'm going to be waiting another couple of days for mine to get back on, right? And that level of difference that you guys have directed staff and staff has met that call, it's a tremendous change. It's just a tremendous change. So, the fact that we're passing this resolution, we've got these mutual aid agreements, and pretty much we're begging to go and help Duke and Clay, like, hey, send us to that neighborhood. We can get you back on, right? I think that just shows what a tremendous turnaround has happened in our community in a decade. So with that, I'll ask for a motion. We've already read the resolution. I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments or questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that takes us to comments, city manager. I'm sorry. Before we move into the comments, I just want to take this moment to just reiterate our rules of procedure. We're all going to listen to every staff member or commissioner as he or she gives the public comment without interrupting, and we're all going to listen to the public giving their comment without interrupting. That's our rules of procedure. I'd ask the commission to direct your comments to me. I'd ask the public to direct your comments to me. And that's the way we're going to do it. If we can't do it that way, we're going to take a pause until we all breathe and can do it that way. So with that, Mr. Manager, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And my first item is an update on the tropical storm. If it's okay with the commission, I'll bypass that since that was my last item. And then I'll remind the commission that on October the 1st, we have a special meeting that begins at 6:30. We're going to consider getting authorization from the City Commission to move 2 grant applications forward. These are CDBG grant applications, neighborhood redevelopment grants, and our intent is to seek funding to pave some streets. It's been an ask of the commission for probably 3 years now, and we have been unsuccessful in previous attempts, but we know that patience is virtue, and we're gonna keep knocking, because these would be significant funds if we're successful, and will make a nice benefit up to those unpaved roadways near the Newberry Community Center, the MLK Center. And then, Mr. Mayor, just want to report that last Thursday I spoke to the Builders Association of North Florida. It was scheduled for me, and so I didn't know what to expect, and I'll tell you, I certainly didn't expect 150 people in the room when I walked in. I figured we'd be talking to the normal group of 8, and but I'd kind of refreshed a presentation that staff put together. I don't from a previous presentation. I don't want to take credit. The presentation is really impressive, and sometimes when you're here every day and seeing the good work that's happening in Newberry, you tend to get a little dull to how novel it is. But after speaking for about 20 minutes to 150 people that are in the construction industry in the greater Gainesville area, I was stunned at the reception. There's keen interest in Newberry. I've gotten 5 emails today about how can we get better plugged into the things that are happening in Newberry. But I was sharing many of the things that we discussed tonight. You know, they wanted to hear about growth and development, because we're seeing a lot of that in their contractors. But it was the other parts of the presentation. The mayor mentioned things like our development and impact fees, how forward-thinking that was, and how by doing that we would have the infrastructure in place and not burden our existing residents with a large portion of the debt service that goes with that. It's the people coming to the community, paying a fair share to be in the community. And I could tell that group of people, to the mayor's point, they clicked immediately and thought, yeah, that's the way to pay for infrastructure, is have the people that are moving into town making that impact pay for it. We spoke about the urban services area, and same thing. I could immediately tell that it made sense to them that we were preserving an agricultural area, or an area that we think will be predominantly agricultural, but it'll certainly be low-density development for future generations to consider what to do with. And again, I got so many emails today, Thursday afternoon and today, positive impact, folks to wanting to know how better to plug into Newberry. I was somewhat excited about that. We'll share it with the commission, and I will share a PDF version of the presentation put together. Again, I'll take no credit for it. Staff team really put it together, but it tells our story well. If folks are asking, if y'all get a request to speak, let us know. That'll be a good starting point for a presentation of This is Newberry Today.
And I'm going to jump right in just for a second, because while I wasn't at that speech because I was teaching, but I could feel my phone vibrating. And after that, I got all of these, hey, I'm at this event, your manager's here talking. He's doing a fantastic job. It looks like things are really, really going well in Newberry. So he's not taking any credit, but he deserves some credit because he represented us well. He made Newberry look good, and it's easy to do because all you have to do is brag on the work that all of these fine folks are doing. And it's clearly working because more and more people want to join us here, right? So good job, Mike. Thanks for representing us well.
My comments.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Attorney?
No comment.
All right, thank you, sir. Madam Clerk? All right, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Coleman? Commissioner Clark?
A couple things, Mr. Mayor. Number one, good job on the budget, the staff. I know it was a lot of dedication on everybody, but I appreciate the workshops. and the education on everything we do there. Mike and I had a meeting scheduled on the 11th, and Mike was down and couldn't go, so I went ahead and went down and met with the Mr. Jennings, who owns Waste Pro, him and his son Sean, and they were very generous to us. Mike set this meeting up, but I went down, had it with him, with his local team. He had a local VP there, along with Mr. Jennings and his son, and they give us a check for $20,000 for the Veterans Memorial. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Jennings and his team. They're plugged into our community, and it shows he had his local people there with us, so it just shows that they are a partnership as an owner and as a regional. So I appreciate that. And the Veteran Memorial, the brick buying is going well. We just asked that we get a few more. Everybody that's a veteran is welcome to buy a brick. Family members for any one of those. And the budget, that was it. So I appreciate it. God bless America, and God bless our troops that are deployed.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Farnsworth? Show who's boss.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for you, but I don't want you to answer it.
That's my favorite kind of question.
The United States has a motto, "In God We Trust." Only one other state has that as their motto. What state is that?
But you don't want me to take a run at it?
Because you know it,
Okay.
don't
All right.
you?
I have a pretty good guess.
All right, you can answer it.
Commissioner Martin?
Pennsylvania?
Is that what you say?
That's what I think too.
We look here on the flag.
I mean, I think.
In God We Trust.
What's it say in Pennsylvania? Because I was thinking Pennsylvania too.
You would think it'd be one of the first 13 colonies,
Right.
but nope. It's,
Well, right there. I know that's been a controversial logo though.
I'm sure.
All right, Commissioner Martin, you got anything?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I was also wanting to echo the sentiments of how well the budget went. You know, it's sort of like one frame of a movie that's about 3 hours long that we get to see here in the commission meeting. Sort of like what I was talking about, what you see on the retail level versus all the behind the scenes work for like an iceberg. You just see the little tip of it. There's a lot more that goes into it. I know it takes months to do. It is sort of old hat. We kind of make it look easy because you guys make it look easy. But I think that's just a testament to really the professionalism that y'all have for us. I'd put you guys up against any team in our area by far. The development is a good point. I hope we kind of collectively, I think we all understand that, but just as a community, the whole idea of, that we don't want to just make roads going out to nowhere and build stuff that just sits there, because that burden of the cost to carry it is on the existing citizens. We don't want to have that happen. So it is important that we have that timing down right, and over the years we've gotten better and better at that. Talking about the blips thing, that part of that credit goes to Jason McGeehee, who kind of spearheaded the AMI stuff for us, and then of course Jamie coming on and really putting it on steroids and making it work with his group. So fantastic work. I appreciate everybody's work on it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Commissioner Mazon?
Oh, yeah. I thought the other blips were like a bunch of squirrels on power lines.
I remember Commissioner Farnsworth was going to buy a shotgun for every resident so we could clean them out.
Take it easy. Good job, staff. I'm not gonna, Clark and Martin covered it all. But I did want to give recognition. Downtown Main Street had their fabulous 50s this past weekend, and it was a success. It was very nice. Over 1,000 people showed up. Nice cars. I went there with me and our kids, our daughter, and got a couple things, crochet, a lot of. Man, this one, I think it was a Ford, man. It was a very rustic looking truck. He polished it over, kept it the same. Low rider, it was a beautiful truck. So the next time Francis, throws one of these, I would recommend you guys show up. Smile. You gonna be out of town?
I was.
You was? Yeah. So I wanted to give recognition to our downtown staff. Miss Peggy's here. So there's over 54 years of experience with this board that we have, and they dedicate their time. So they don't get paid, they dedicate their time, okay? So I'm gonna start with Miss Gill. She has 16 years on the board. Peggy, how many years do you have?
With 2010 to now,
14.
14.
There you go. Marlon has 6 years, okay? Larry has 6 years. You have Frances, she has 5 years. You have Charmaine, 3 years. And then you have Chris with 2, and then Remy, which is one of our newest, Remy and Miss Debbie, she has 1 year. They have 1 year. And then you have Holly and Melina working within their first year. So that's once again, that's like a board of like those they contribute their time. They don't get paid. They come up here. They go to the meetings. They do a great job. And Mr. Mack, just started by him. He's the new president. He's within his first year as well. Pawn shop. For you guys that don't know. So congratulations to our downtown Main Street. Thank you very much. You guys do a phenomenal job. Okay. I have some. Plus Scarecrow Road is starting up October 1st. So if you guys want to purchase a pole to decorate your scarecrow, 1st of October to the end of October is your time frame. I do have a snippet for you. How many of you guys drink diet soft drinks? Show of hands. Diet drinks. Diet. Good. How many of you guys drink zero sugar drinks? Like, it says zero sugar Gatorades or whatnot, right? So which you do? Okay, and how many of you guys drink unsweet drinks? Meaning like unsweet tea, water, et cetera, et cetera. Good job, Coleman. Good job.
Water.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you which do you think is the best?
Water.
Well, unsweet.
Take water
You got
out.
where I was going with this, which is unsweet tea. So your diet drinks have this aspartame fuel in it, which is fake sugar, okay, which is bad for your body. And then your zero sugar drinks have it's called aspartame potassium, and it also has other artificial sugar in it. So they're fake drinks. So for you guys that are drinking diet drinks, get off of it if you can, try. And for you guys that are drinking zero sugar drinks, try to get off of it if you can. If you can't, drink in moderation, right? The little the better, right?
Thanks, Dad.
I'm so proud of you, son. You're so welcome. Liquor's better than beer.
Okay.
It is. It's true. Liquor's better than beer.
Is that it for you?
That's it for me.
All right, we appreciate the public health announcements. Always great. I want to also, I said my piece about the budget, but I appreciate everybody at Main Street right now. It took a lot of community volunteers to set Main Street up. It took a lot of community volunteers to set the Newberry Chamber up. But I would say right now in our history, we are just running on all cylinders. So from Halloween to Christmas to First Fridays to all the events that are going downtown. Again, if you're out there and you want to get involved in the community in a positive way, volunteer with one of these groups, join them, and actually, go out there, help them set up tables, help do things, get to know your neighbors, those kinds of stuff. They always need help to put on all. It just take a lot of man hours, right? So show up, help them out, because they're really driving business to our historic downtown. They're keeping that community, small town feeling alive. So thank you guys for everything that you're doing. I also, to piggyback on the Veterans Memorial, I want to say thank you to Oakview Band. They're doing a shirt sale right now, and that runs until this Friday. So if you want to support the Newberry Veterans Memorial, I think the shirts are $12. You can go on to there. They've got social media posts that Oakview does. I think I put it up a couple times. They're taking orders still this Friday. And then if you click on the link that I put up, if you're not a member, then I'll get the shirt and we'll work it out how to get it to you. If you click on Oakview's link, then they'll distribute them at Oakview. So there's two different links for who's responsible for taking on the distribution afterwards. We already said great job to Mike. I did want to announce Homecoming Parade is October 4th. Homecoming Parade is October 4th. The parade route's the same that it was last year, but we're going to line up on 60th at 2 o'clock. We ask all the drivers to pull off to the right-hand side to keep a nice lane open. We'll go out past the elementary school. We'll come down through the high school on 255th. We'll come out just on Newberry Road, and then we'll, right before we pass it, we won't go over the railroad tracks. We'll turn back south and make our way back. So if you want to come watch the parade, in front of the elementary school is a great spot. In front of City Hall is a great spot. Come watch the homecoming parade. These are all student-led events, so the kids do the work, the kids organize it, the kids do it all. It's a great experience for them. I also want to announce a brand new, our Newberry Historical Association is going to host a fundraiser, and on the Saturday before Halloween, which is the 26th, I think, October 26th, they're going to open up the Newberry jails. They're going to bring a paranormal crew in, and you can come and tour the jails and see, and maybe there'll be a ghostie right before Halloween, and you can help support our brand new NHA. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Dress up as Mike Myers?
Inside the jail, that might be a little terrifying. I've had a thought in the back of my mind. You know, we do y'all's comments, staff comments, and y'all's comments, and then citizen comments. And we have a lot of citizens that wait all the way to get to the end of the night, right? And it seems like just as a gesture of trying to get them, you know, able to leave, that we should flip it, right? And let the citizen comments go first, and then we'll go through staff comments and all those kinds of things. Can I just have a head nod of approval that we can try that out for a little while, and next meeting, we'll flip it on the agenda, right? So that I'll have a reminder. Thank you. And then I can't remember which of you have brought this up, but it was a couple of you. We're having buyer's remorse over the decision about the new city hall, whether we put the city seal outside or whether we put the economic development logo outside. So I want to give the opportunity for you to remind me who had that buyer's remorse, and maybe you've changed your mind again about that, but are we, right now we have projected for this logo, that logo to be, right, so this would be the logo outside on the building and in the signs. The seal would be saved for the commission chamber, more official formal document. So we had this conversation before, but some of you, and again, I can't remember who said, I think it should be the seal all the way around. So before we get there, I just want to make sure, and you're looking at it and saying, well, how did that happen, right? I want to make sure we have the opportunity to change our opinion. We could put it on an agenda item, it's getting late at night, right? Anybody, Commissioner Farnsworth, you want the seal or you want this?
I want the seal. I think I have not had any positive comments regarding the logo.
Commissioner Maison, you got any?
Yeah, I'm new here. I'll let these guys make the decision. I'll fall in line, to be honest with you.
Would you have a preference? I mean,
I don't have a preference.
Anybody else? Seal? I got two for the seal.
We were supposed to have it on the signs coming into town, but then we got that thing.
Yeah, so I mean, we just got to formalize again. I just want to make sure that, you know, we did have a kind, but if we changed our mind, I want to be,
that
right.
Economic development sign, right?
Well, this was our economic development logo, so it went with economic development.
Right.
So we had originally approved the seal for the city sign, right? But it gave us the opportunity to say, this logo is,
I'm a seal.
I got two seals, Commissioner Coleman, you got?
Oof. At all, but I don't really care.
Okay, I got two people that have Commissioner Tim.
So, I mean, the seal? Seal.
Commissioner Martin, you got any? I've got two that have a preference, two that don't have a preference.
Seal.
Let's go with seal. I mean, seal?
Doesn't.
Seal.
You don't care. So I got three seals.
Seal.
4 seals.
And I like both. I like both of them. I understand the historical reference of the seal, so I think that's appropriate in certain circumstances. But I mean, either one doesn't really bother. Either one doesn't really bother me.
So I got 4 strong
I know from
seals.
a manufacturing, cost standpoint, the seal's like 10 times more expensive than to build that out. So
still want the seal?
There is some budget.
Let's have staff bring
Some
back.
budget things,
Let's formalize this conversation. Bring it back. Have the conversation because I mean,
I don't want it to turn into another water tank logo discussion that takes 6 months.
Right. I mean, and I don't think that huge. We're not about huge solid brass seals. We're talking about that lettering. So I don't think it's significantly more expensive one way or the other. It's an opinion, and I'm kind of I just don't want to get back into the water tower thing. I want to have the conversation. We can be done with it.
Bring it
So
up.
we'll bring it back and just, and finalize
Images.
it. Okay, and that concludes my comments, citizen comments. Come on down.
Ow, that shocked me. I'm Brandy Oldman, and I do want to echo your volunteer statement. My time at MLK needs volunteers. We get like upwards of 20 students sometimes, and it's like me and another teacher, and we're suffering. So if anybody wants to volunteer for that, that'd be great. And I'd also like to read a letter that I got from the city of Newberry. Okay, it's from Fulton Walker LLC. It says, "Dear Miss Oldman, our firm serves as the city of Newberry, as city attorney of the city of Newberry, Florida. I am writing on behalf of the city in response to your statements made during public comment on August 26, 2024. During this meeting, you made multiple slanderous and defamatory remarks against Commissioner Mark Clark, Chelsea Lemming, and implicated staff and city officials. Specifically, you falsely asserted that the city of Newberry public funds were diverted to Miss Lemming for her personal benefit. You were aware that the city of Newberry transferred funds to the Newberry Community School Board for assistance with relevant legal matters, project management, financial application services, and any other required steps to complete the application for a public comment from public to community-based charter school. Your allegations have no basis in fact and have caused potential significant harm to both Commissioner Clark, Ms. Lemming, and city staff and officials. Your public dissemination of false statements constitutes slander per se, as they impute both professional incompetence and moral misconduct, which are grounds for legal action. This letter serves as a formal demand that you immediately cease and desist from making further such defamatory statements about Commissioner Clark, Ms. Lemming, and city staff and officials. Please govern yourself accordingly. Yours truly, Fulton Walker, Scott Walker, Esquire. And he CC'd Mike New and Jordan Marlowe. Okay, here's my statements on that. To qualify as defamation, a statement must include a false statement made as fact. I look forward to Mr. Walker specifically specifying which statement I have made that meets this qualification. But to everyone else in Newberry watching and listening, I wanted to draw your attention to the fact of the letter. Written by the city attorney, presumably paid for by city funds and city taxpayers, references a private citizen. Now our attorney is representing somebody who isn't an elected official or an employee of the city on our dime. How curious is it that an individual happens to be the daughter of a commissioner? Are citizens now able to utilize city legal services at the expense of the taxpayers? If you send another letter, perhaps you could include answers to these questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Other public comment? Seeing none, come on down, sir.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good evening, sir.
Good, good. I'm Wesley Dixon. I am a citizen and also a parent. And, sorry, that just caught me off guard. But I came up here, I know there's so much happening right now. There's a storm coming, and there's so much to celebrate, so much good stuff happening. And first and foremost, I want to say that what brought me here to Newberry from the get-go is what brought me and my family here was I'm a Painesburg boy. I lived in Micanopy my whole life, and went, saw the world, settled down, got married. And I was looking for a place to call home, my own home. And Newberry seemed to be that home. And one of the things that really brought me here was I saw growth, I saw the opportunity, and I saw the community, how y'all interacted with everyone. And some of the things that really impressed me was the staff. The city staff is amazing. Your public works, your utilities, just everything is so wonderful. The schools here, I wasn't planning on having children when I moved here, but having kids and getting to know the teachers, starting with Newberry Elementary School, we have phenomenal teachers here. And before this whole charter initiative, we got an A school from the coordination between the parents and the teachers coming together with
Keep
the
comments up here
resources.
if you can.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Coming with limited resources to make the best that we have and just take care of our children. And I saw that as a promising future for my kids. And, I had something to say. I had notes to say. And, I understand this charter initiative is an emotionally charged conversation. As a father, I have plenty to say about that. But I think when it comes down to it, as I stand here, and the words I want to say, the questions I ask myself is when my children are old enough to watch me speak right now, watch you speak right now, watch the people behind us speak right now, is it something that we can be proud of? Is it the message? Is it the right message we want to teach our children? The fact of the matter is I'm just going to summarize and kind of go back to the charter initiative. I've kind of was not 100% sure. I was optimistic about it. When I first heard about it, it's like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is just another step for Newberry to grow. But the fact of the matter is seeing things coming up to this place, and I was involved in meetings. I stood up in the first or second meeting that we had with Newberry coming over there across the hallway. And, one of the things I want to make sure is whatever we do, I do not want to see that relationship between the parents and the teachers that we have up to this point ever be in a position of being poisoned or losing the message of what it means to be a community for our kids. I know I'm rambling and long-winded, and I just got a few more minutes, but the fact of the matter is I want to implore again, I know we're way past this, we're a few months, but I've been trying to watch and monitor and study and choose my words carefully, but I want to make sure it's communicated that y'all consider putting a pause on this situation. Because here's the thing, we can minimize it all we want. This is an emotionally charged situation to the point where this is getting public. It's happening in this room. We had emotionally charged statements, involved. And the fact of the matter is that tells me that we do need to take a pause. And we do need to think about taking this time to make sure that we are fully informed as a community on what this initiative means for us. And I know there's been some frustrations on both sides of this counter, back here behind us and y'all on the other side. That just tells me that that's a heart symptom, that's a heart problem. And it could be wisdom, it could be ignorance, it could be, I hope it's and good intentions. I hope whatever is happening with Charter is good intentions. But the fact of the matter is if we're complaining about doing public records, requests, or where the other person's coming from, or why is this person making a decision across the counter over here, or vice versa, that means there's a trust issue. And the fact of the matter is, gentlemen, is we have wonderful staff here. We have a wonderful community here. There is a divide here, and we cannot downplay that any further. And I know I'm pleading to y'all because y'all have the burden of leadership. The crown is heavy. Y'all have a higher standard, and we're counting on you to implore that, to bring that trust back. And if you're having those frustrations, maybe consider, like I said, pausing this. Let's figure out how, and this is not the appropriate place to do it, but maybe we do need to start doing more workshops or something where we do come together again with this whole deal. But anyways, that's all I want to say. Thank y'all for hearing me out, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, sir. And if you want to send me a message through email, I'd be glad to sit down and have coffee and continue the conversation with you. Other public comment? Seeing none, we are adjourned. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to come back for the BOA. 10 minutes good, Mr. We'll go ahead and call this regularly scheduled September 23rd Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Do I have an approval of the agenda as published? I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. Motion from Commissioner Martin, second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments, questions, motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 24?
Motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Maison, second from Commissioner Martin. Any comments, questions on the motion on the floor? From the dais, public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pass. Motion passes unanimously. That'll move us on to item 2, which is a quasi-judicial public hearing, Resolution 2024-14/application SDP 2404. Since we are in a quasi-judicial procedure, this means the commission will stop being a legislative body and will become a judicial board, which means that we have to follow certain rules and adhere to a different standard of decision-making. The primary rule must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when the judicial board makes a decision. This standard states the following, and I quote, "All public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts. Closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record." I'm going to ask the attorney at this point in time to read into the record the resolution for item 2.
Mr. Mayor, this is Resolution 2024-14 SDP 24-04, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan for construction of an approximately 11,060 square foot daycare facility in a commercial intensive CI zoning district pursuant to Section 14.12 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, located generally at east of US 41/State Road 45 and north of Newberry Lane, identified as a portion of tax parcel number 01902-000-000 on 3.9 plus acres within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict, providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass Resolution 2024-14 upon its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm now going to ask the clerk if you would swear in applicant, staff, and anyone wishing to participate. If you're here for either this one or the next one, let's go ahead and swear you all in at one time.
Please state your name for the record, starting over here. Last name is
Christopher Demir. Brian Snyder.
You hereby swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You have a duty to.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we begin, we need to disclose any ex parte communications and disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. Ex parte communications are any conversations or transmission of information that may have bearing or influence on any voting member's decision. Let's go ahead and do ex parte for both quasi-judicial tonight. Commissioner Coleman.
0.
Commissioner Clark.
None.
Commissioner Farnsworth.
None.
Commissioner Martin.
None.
Commissioner Maison.
0.
I'm a non-voting chair, but I have nothing to disclose as well. I'm going to explain the order of presentation that we're going to follow for both quasi-judicial items before us tonight. We're going to hear from staff with the overview. Then the applicant has the opportunity to make a presentation with no time limit. Then we'll hear the staff report and recommendation also with no time limit. Nobody has contacted me wishing to claim a third-party intervener status. That's going to move us to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak to either agenda item is going to have 3 minutes to do so. That will move us to cross-examinations from the applicant and staff. Then members of the body through the chair can ask questions of the applicant or the staff. Then final arguments will be made by the applicant or the staff. And city attorney will then advise the decision-making body applicable law and factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the conditions. Then we'll deliberate. After deliberation, we'll have a motion to approve, deny, or approve conditions. Madam Uma, go ahead and take it.
Thank you so much, Mayor. You are so fast. Even at 9:30 in the right time, I'm really slow right now, but I'll try to
Take
finish.
your time. Take your time.
So I'm reading Resolution 2024-14 SDP 24/4, Site and Development Plan for Child Care Facility O2B for O2B kids. Before I start, we received a letter of concern from a citizen. It's in the agenda packet. If there is any concern regarding that, we can talk, we can discuss. And even our applicant is here, we can, if you have any question, we can go ahead with that. So let me start my presentation. This is a portion of parcel number 01902-000-000. Project name is O2B Kids Child Care Facility. Petition is by RWM Newberry LLC. Agent is CHW, which is Law and
NV5 company, so I forgot to write that. The future land use on the property is commercial, and the current zoning is CI, that is commercial intensive. The petition, so this is the aerial picture of where it will be located, so it's just a portion of the bigger property there. One more, just a location of where the property is. The petition was actually heard by PZB. This is a facility include approximately 1160 square feet of daycare center with improved infrastructure. The proposed area of development will be 1.86 acre. The total number of students they are saying will be around 193, and they have proposed parking 37. So we have applicant here from CHW. They don't have any application, they don't have any presentation, but they are here for any question. Should I continue with my?
Move right into staff's report and recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, the petition was heard by PZB board, and they have some valid concerns about some traffic and where it is located and how. And then after the PZB meeting, the staff met with the applicant, and the potential comments were the potential school bus stop conflict in the area, vehicle stacking, turning movement, and statement from traffic engineer. We have the traffic engineer here too, and the CHW staff worked really good with all those comments. They provided us with a new site plan. I have the new site plan here where they have showed all those changes they have made. So these are the site and development plan criteria we looked into: ownership and control, density and intended use, traffic, parking and loading was one of the big concern in PZB, and we did talk about that. Screening, stormwater, they have their own stormwater. I will show that in the pictures right now. The utility and recreation facility and open space. Since it's a daycare, they will have open space and the amenities around. So this is the new proposed, in the packet there is the older submission 2 and the new submission 2. This is after they have they did their changes after the PZB meeting. So they provided some left lane turns and how you can go in. And if there is any question regarding there, the traffic engineer is also here, Brian, and he can answer those questions. This is the proposed building finished elevation map. They have the storm water on the back of the property, and then the front will be mostly the parking space. We also requested to provide the fence dimensions, and they provided the new fence dimension and what kind of fencing will be there. This is the proposed architectural elevation, and if you have seen other O2B, it will be very much like that, all those purple and brown. So they have a good architectural setting there. There is lot of trees there, and citizens were concerned during PZB meeting. I think CHW has done really good with the proposed landscaping, and this whole landscaping is very much inclined to our city code. They are removing couple of trees because it's old trees, but they are getting lot of trees back in. Traffic statement, they propose that a daily, I think the daycare center will have a maximum peak around 123 in the evening and 122. So, and then they provided after PZB their parking spots. They did the analysis from Archer Road, O2B and this, and then did get back with their numbers. Again, they have proposed parking, 37 parking there for number of students of 193. Another concern was the stacking of the stacking of the cars. So they provided the O2B handout, which says how the procedure goes. There will be no dropping off. It will be like the parent has to park and go inside, sign them in, and come out. So that's how the O2B work. So they provided us with those documentation too. There are two conditions for approval here, which is prior to assurance of building provide a photometric plan with dark sky friendly lighting. This is our new building code we are talking about. And prior to the site plan approval, since it's this property is a bigger lot, we are requesting the applicant to provide us with documentation of recording of lot split with Alachua County property appraisal. Staff finally, after all the changes, staff find the request consistent with the City of Newberry Land Development Regulation and Comprehensive Plan and recommend Board of Adjustment to approve 2024-14 SDP 2404. I am here and the applicant from CHW is also here for any further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Uma. I know you don't have a presentation, but can you come down and just state for the record that you're waiving the right to presentation for us, since we're in a quasi?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, board members. I'm Walker Owen with CHW, professional engineer licensed in the state of Florida. We've not prepared a presentation for this evening. Would like to thank Uma for her great presentation, being so good to work with. You've heard her recommendation for approval, and we'd ask that y'all approve this project.
Thank you, sir. Again, nobody's contacted me wishing to claim third-party intervenor status. That's going to move us to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak to this agenda item have 3 minutes to do so. Seeing none, that's going to take us down. You just said you liked the presentation, so I'm assuming you don't have cross-examination. Members of the decision-making body, questions? Commissioner Farnsworth. And let us know if it's to Uma or
I guess to Uma, I was wondering, how come we don't have any written information? Are we supposed to just go by what we're seeing up here on the screen?
You didn't get the backup material?
Email.
We'd had a communication blip, but I thought that we had sent out the backup material, so we tried.
It's in the email.
It was in the. I know I didn't get it at first, but then I did get it the second time around. Yeah. Yeah, I got it the second time around.
I didn't get it first.
So the backup material was there. It just wasn't in the original email. There's one hyperlink for the agenda, but nothing for the packet hyperlink wasn't there. So I apologize. You want to recuse yourself from this vote, or are willing to ask some questions now?
No, I'll recuse myself from the vote because I mean, I don't have a good enough grasp of what's proposed here, and I don't want to go vote for something that I really don't.
Well, let's listen to the conversation. We'll see if there's 4 going one way. Well, then that's one thing. If there's a dissent,
Yeah, I'm sure it's all good, but you know, sometimes there's little pieces that need to be.
Yeah, I admire.
We need to take a look at.
Yeah. Other questions, Commissioner Martin?
Uma, is this building comparable to the one that's on Parker Road? You said if you're familiar with what it looked like, but I know there's a couple different ones, so
Yes,
I just want to make sure.
As far as I know, they compared everything to the Archer Road O2B, but I will refer this question to.
And as you come down, sir, since we're 4 voting commissioners on this item, we always give the applicant the opportunity to ask to table it to come back. So if it looks like there's 2, it's going 2-2, and you don't want to fall into that trap, we can table it. We can come back in the next one, make sure everybody gets the packet. So go ahead.
The building will be stylistically similar to the one on Archer Road. The color scheme is similar. I don't know if it's the exact same building. They have a few different footprints, a few different building versions that they use, but it will appear similar in that it's done in the same style with the same colors.
Commissioner Clark, was that?
I was just going to say that the recommendations on the traffic were solved by the turn lanes, the parking, that was all okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Mazon.
Absolutely, yes. So I have seen the one on Archer Road. I do think it's the better of the better of the buildings. I really do. It looks really nice. It's next to the hotel that they did on that little curve over there by Gainesville Place for you guys. Are they going to block 238th off when they construct the road? They're not. Are they going to widen the road, or are they just going to put the turning lanes in?
238th won't be widened. There'll be
Just
a,
keep it the same, just paint it,
yeah, there'll be a turn lane painted in the middle of
Okay.
it, but it's not gonna be widened.
and there's no sinkholes on this property.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
They'll find out soon enough.
I know these are all, these are just, but I think I drove by the property multiple times. I think it's a great location. I did have concerns if it was gonna pour out on Newberry Lane, but it's not. It's going off of 238, which is a better decision. So, I mean, and then the parking lot's up front, which is right there facing Newberry Lane, which is even smarter. And then you have the retention pond. Is there a retention pond back there right now? Or no?
Yes.
There's
There
an
is a retention
existing.
pond. Yeah, I thought so when I
retention
drove by there. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great location. I think it's a great building. I like this. The one that they decided to put here in Newberry, which is really nice, is better than the one in Alachua. Sorry. And it's better than the one that's on Parker Road, in my opinion.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Commissioner Coleman?
No question, just a comment. I was looking at the aerial there, and I think, Bart, back then, you were loading cantaloupes with us too. It's so funny how fast water oaks grow. I could care less if those trees are there, because that's how, I mean, they're here today and they're gone.
They'll be gone after.
They're no
hurricane.
good.
Yeah.
And that's all that was, because honestly, every tree you see in that whole aerial right there was all field.
Yeah.
Back when
Agreed.
we
Got
were.
a trash tree? That's trash trees. Trash trees.
That's what the hurricane that's coming through, they'll clear those out real quick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, any more member questions? Okay, does either staff or applicant feel the need to make a final argument? You don't have to. Okay. Mr. Attorney, would you please advise the decision-making body as applicable on factual findings must be made to approve or deny the application?
Substantial and competent evidence, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We'll enter into deliberations if there are no.
So I did want to add,
There's
just
another
kind of,
deliberation. Commissioner
so,
Mazel.
when they're talking about traffic, when it comes to daycares, they're different than like a school. Okay? I just need people to understand that. It's nowhere near the traffic that you'll see with a school, elementary, middle school, any of those. It's in and out because of the schedules of the parents. So I don't see traffic being an issue with this facility or this location.
I agree with that. And my only comment to this one is to just say thank you to the applicant and staff. If you watched the P&Z meeting, there was a lot of concerns, and it almost didn't make it through the P&Z. But the P&Z trusts you guys, and they trusted staff and the applicant, all parties and the property owner to get together, listen to those concerns, and actually make some changes and address them. So I heard those changes tonight. We greatly appreciate doing that. You sat here all night, sir, waiting, and I appreciate you being here. We didn't have one traffic question, but your presence was soothing and calming. So we've deliberated. Any more deliberations? I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Maison. Second from Commissioner Clark. Any comments, questions, motion on the floor from the dais? Public comments, questions on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Your motion passes unanimously. That's
Did
gonna.
you need to confirm, Monty, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. And with Commissioner Farnsworth
Well, you didn't
recusing
ask him.
himself.
He may not have.
All right, did you hear enough? He recused himself earlier. He said he was going to recuse. So you just want me to see that? So motion passes 4-0 with Commissioner Farnsworth recusing himself from this vote. Commissioner Farnsworth, so you didn't get Whittles either? Okay, so we're going to be a four-man board for this one as well. We're still in quasi-judicial. Mr. Attorney, would you please read Resolution 2024-31/SDP 2402 into the record for us?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, serving as the Board of Adjustment of the City of Newberry, Florida, approving an application for site and development plan for an additional 30,000 square foot self-storage within an industrial I zoning district pursuant to Section 14.12 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, located at 27240 West Newberry Road. Alachua County tax parcel number is 02512-001-016, consisting of approximately 31 acres lying within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion will be to pass at the appropriate time Resolution 2024-31 SDP 24-02 on its reading by title only.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And we've sworn in and we've done ex parte, so Jean Paul, go into the staff overview.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the record, John Paul Perez, Community Development Department. The request before the Board of Adjustment tonight is a site and development plan for Whittles Mini Storage, which already exists. They're going to be adding 3 new buildings to the site. Each building is about 10,000 square feet each, so a total of 30,000 square feet of additional self-storage will be added to the site. It was heard by the Planning and Zoning Board on August 27th, which was a special meeting for them, and they voted unanimously to recommend approval to the Board of Adjustment. Staff's recommendation, the Planning and Zoning Board and the Board of Adjustment are the same. We are recommending adoption of the resolution approving the site plan. This image shows the general location of where the property is in the city limits. I will not read the parcel number. Gamir Engineering is the design firm hired by the applicant or owner, and Whittles Mini Storage LLC is the current landowner. Property is zoned and has a future land use of industrial, so it's an appropriate use of the property. There's an aerial image of the property showing in the white dashed area generally where it'll be located. This area is approximately 500 feet back from the right-of-way from State Road 26, just a little bit closer so you can see the CSX right-of-way bisecting the access road that goes into the site. So current use of the site is approximately 41,100 square feet of self-storage use, and there's 3 residences on the property. Those residences are lawful non-conforming uses of the property, so they can be repaired, but as soon as they become destroyed, they have to go away, because we do not allow residential and industrial zoning districts.
I'm sorry, one more time?
We do not allow residences in industrial zoning districts? That statement, or?
Yeah, so the houses that are there now are.
Because they've been there for the Whittles, they've been there forever.
Yeah.
Grandfathered in.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought I heard something different.
The city will be not destroying those homes.
Adam and Eve used to live there.
If that's what you heard.
Commissioner Mason said they gotta leave.
No. Hey, don't put that out there.
They're gonna go the way of the beard.
No. Hey, my mic on. Don't put that out there. No, I didn't say that.
All right. So before you is the proposed site plan. Left is north on this one. So State Road 26 all the way on the right, running east and west. You can see the new areas. There'll be paving the road where it's not intersected by CSX right away into the site and around the building. So it's an improvement to the site, definitely. They do have to do a lot of stormwater. So just east of the buildings will be a huge stormwater basin, dry retention. So. And I'm going to need help from the Assistant City Clerk with,
We think we lost internet because nothing's.
Oh, they changed. Did it move there? Internet shuts off at 9:53.
Oh, it's working. Here we go.
The city of Newberry, we try to.
Yeah, like we can't change the view. I can't manually.
I've got nothing.
AT&T's off strike.
All right. Now, Dallas voted or quoted verbatim everything about the tiny house changes we made. So
Yes.
it's your turn
Yeah.
to shine
We recommend approval.
right now.
John Paul, what slide do you want?
I still have control, so I can go through my presentation, and I will take minutes, so the public will be able to access those since we're not broadcasting at this time. But again, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, we have 3 structures, each being about 10,000 square feet each, paved access, parking. At the northwest area of the site, you can see there a small red rectangle that is the dumpster location. Self-storage typically doesn't have dumpster locations. There's not a lot of trash, not a lot of users on the site, and this particular site doesn't have an office location, so no bathrooms. But this one does, which is definitely a plus because sometimes there are items that do get discarded on site. Applicants here, Chris Gamir, representing the owner. If you have any questions, I can pause my presentation to allow him to.
Quasi, so we're going to follow the procedure.
Okay.
here.
Yep. So I'll continue with staff findings and recommendation, and then open it for questions from the mayor's direction. These are the criteria we utilize when reviewing a site and development plan. They have satisfied all the criteria. And staff finds the request complies with the Land Development Regulations Comprehensive Plan, and as stated previously, we do recommend adoption of the resolution. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can you just come up, or, I know you don't want to make a presentation, but could you state for that for the record that you're waiving your right?
Correct, Mr. Mayor. My name's Christopher Gamir. I'm the agent of the applicant. I'm a civil engineer representing the owner on this project. The biggest thing about this project is the tremendous stormwater need, because we're sort of at the bottom of a valley there. So the stormwater and the soils weren't that great, so the stormwater pond just got really big, and it was a big burden on this kind of project. Thank goodness about mini storage is so much of it is automated now. You don't need the key person up front, all the kinds of things. So much of that's been automated, so that's made a lot of these facilities way less traffic, way less people need to come and go. A lot of it can be done on the internet. So this has been way less of an impact of mini storage of days past. And with that, I don't have anything else to add to my presentation.
All right, thank you, sir.
I'm available for any questions if you have any.
All right, it's going to move us to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to speak to this agenda item have 3 minutes to do so. All eyes on Miss Peggy. Okay, we'll move right along. Did you hear anything you want to cross-examine, sir?
I did not.
Thank you.
You have one question?
Did you have? No. Public of one. All right, and John Paul, do you have anything you want to cross-examine? All right, that's going to move us to members to make a body. Do you have any questions? Commissioner Farnsworth.
So there's no office?
All automated. Come on down, yep. All automated, I'm sorry.
Correct, Mr. Mayor. It's all automated. There's no office on the site. That's how they operate the existing facilities that are there, the existing buildings.
How's somebody gonna rent?
It's all automated on the internet. They have
Okay.
automation systems. Payments are all automatic. They know when their payments are due. They get notifications if they're late, other kinds of things.
You tie a little letter to the bottom of a dove's foot and you send it out.
Maybe that works in the city of Newberry.
They live in
I'm
the
sorry.
factory, so they got
Yeah.
access
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
That's true too as well.
Yeah. Commissioner
The
Martin,
one in Jonesville.
losing,
I believe I have the floor.
Commissioner Martin.
I was respectful. I was waiting.
I respect the order that these commission holds themselves to.
I didn't mean to interrupt your interruption, though. Is the property going to be fenced in as well? I couldn't tell from the map.
Yes, I do believe so, yeah,
Okay.
because there's security purposes and other reasons to have that area fenced.
And landscaped.
Okay.
We provided a landscape plan.
Okay, all right.
Meeting
Well,
the
it sounds
staff
like there's definitely some upgrades going on there, so that's positive.
And pavement as well is being added to the site.
Okay. I did notice the location of the dumpster. I have no heartburn necessarily where it is on the property because you got a lot of property there, and if it gets moved, it's fine. I don't know that a dump truck is going to be all that interested in going all the way back to that corner. So if you want to entertain looking at moving it, feel free. The garbage truck, sorry, whatever.
There's a difference. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We got people listening. It dumps. Well, we don't hope it dumps trash.
All right, we're getting late at night, right?
We all skip.
It's early.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions about Commissioner Bezos?
Yes. Could you bring up the photo again of the area? Por favor.
Oh, sorry. I could have done that.
I had like a slight, right there. So what is this little narrow strip? Is that gonna be utilized?
Not at all, sir. So that dashed area is the only area being utilized, and the
It's
narrow
right here.
strip is just a panhandle of that piece of property that's just been there, and they own that property. We're not touching it all.
Okay, so how are these guys are they gonna be coming through the facility to get out?
Exactly correct. There's a side road that they're, well,
They do it now.
they do it now. Yes, sir.
What do you mean they do it now?
Look at the front there.
They
You
go
see
right
those?
through the,
Yeah, I see this road right here.
yeah.
So these guys, they're gonna be, I know they're family, so then they're gonna be coming this way instead of coming this way, correct?
Exactly correct. And on top of that, in that view that you see there, maybe if I switch to the next slide. Correct, you can see the road sort of stays maintained through there. So this just got rotated sideways.
There will be a way for them to come through.
Exactly correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Are these inside, outside units?
I can't remember. I think there's some roll-up doors. There may be some interior storage. I just know nowadays they tend to mix it up more, where back in the past, you only had like roll-ups, or we only have condition. There may be a mixture, and I think because of how wide they are, I think there is some inside I'm not sure if they're fully
No
conditioned or
AC.
not. I don't know, have an answer to that. I'm sorry, I did not ask that question.
Personal business.
I'm sure there's a mix of all types of personal
Yeah,
business
that's
in
it.
this facility,
That's all
sir.
I got. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much.
All right.
Doing a phenomenal job.
Other commissioner comments? Commissioner Coleman?
I just had a concern. I mean, so they're not gonna have bathrooms there?
They don't have that need at their existing facilities. They've been very successful with those existing facilities. And then
Okay.
without staff there, there's really no need for bathrooms. And you know how it is, even just at a convenience store,
dropping off your
Furniture.
you're leaving. So, other board questions?